Well, that was fun. Now let's see if anybody rejoins. I guess I'll just I guess I'll just sit I guess I'll just sit here. I guess I guess I guess I'll just sit. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, it's good actually. No, don't worry about it. It's fine. I gotta sort of sit here for a few minutes and see how many people rejoin, and then I can the God, the bot's not up yet. Hit that redeem again in a minute. I got like 12 sat horns that all redeemed at once when everything unfroze, and then yeah. I don't know the the issue. Whoa, wait, did it just shit the bed again? That's weird. Oh yeah, no, it just said YouTube is not receiving again. It's like dropping in and out, it looks like. What the fuck's going on here? Okay. I think I know. Well, I suspect what the problem is. I wonder if. Well, it could be a YouTube issue, but I doubt it. So what I was going to say is that I ran into a problem the other day. My last stream, I think last weekend, I had the problem that at one point in the stream, just shit started freaking out, and I started getting problems like this, where it was just like just dropping the stream, and I concluded at the time that it was a problem on YouTube's end, but what I eventually when I went to close OBS after that stream, I closed it and it just hung and hung and hung and hung and hung and hung and hung, and I'm like, oh, that's odd. And so, pardon me. Eventually, I did some digging and I found out that the network share that I record all my streams to was sitting there taking errors at the far end, and I haven't yet figured out what the problem with that is. But I think what was actually going on is that OBS was getting hung API calls to trying to write the file out to the hard drive, and so that's what was fucking up the stream. Is that the inner rendering thread was getting hung, and good. I turned off the recording, but I didn't turn off the feature that causes OBS to automatically. No, there it is again. Yep, it's back. And I think this is because it tried to start that recording and then I hit stop. I think that maybe it shit the bed already. And I need to restart OBS and keep it from ever touching that drive. So I'm going to do this one more time and hopefully we'll be able to reuse the same stream. I'll be right back. Okay. Are we going this time? Wow, Mix It Up picked up the new stream really fast that time. That's weird. Oh, I guess because the stream wasn't actually new. Okay, so we'll see if this is stable this time, but I have a theory about what's going on. I don't know how much got through last time. Maybe I'll get interrupted again while I'm trying to explain it. But yeah, the chat box is clipped because I couldn't fit it with the 21.9 the ultra wide game capture on the screen, so I just cut the chat box in half and then it split between them. I don't think the full contents are there, but whatever. It's a joke. Anyway, so a comedy of errors just occurred, and I don't know if it's relevant to the issue, but um, so just now so when OBS is running, you can't go in and change the record destination. You have to close it. You have to stop. Sorry, you have to stop recording, stop streaming. Then you can change where it records to. So I couldn't turn off recording completely before exiting the app. But I went in and turned off the checkbox that says when I start streaming, automatically start recording, right? Then I closed OBS, reopened it, hit stream, missed, and hit start recording instead, which dirtied the process, because I think anything that touches that drive on my NAS gets infected with whatever the fuck problem this is. And so as soon as I did that, I'm like, ah, shit. So I just had to close OBS, kill it, because of course, as soon as I did that, when I closed OBS, the process was hung. Like I had to murder the process from Task Manager because it would not close on its own. So I think it is getting stuck on these file handles going to the network drive, and I don't know if it's a problem with the drive itself or what, because it's running ZFS and zpool status is not showing any errors, but I am seeing deadman errors in the journal CTL. So I'm not sure what the fuck is going on. It's a weird set of issues, but I do know that I was taking errors on that drive the other day for sure. So I'm going to assume that it's dead. I'm going to assume that it's dead and needs to be replaced. Whatever, these things happen. It's a couple of SSDs that I have striped from a long time ago that was supposed to achieve a different purpose. So I'm probably going to replace them with a pair of very nice SSDs instead. Nope, there it goes. God, is my network interface going down again? No. This sucks because the last time this was happening, I tracked it down very reliably to an issue with the network share, but that's obviously not going on now. Oh, this is very frustrating. All right, well, fuck it. Let me give me a couple minutes. Let me dig around. Let me see if I can make any sense of this. This is really irritating because it was working. Yeah, everything's loading so fucking slow. You know, I will say, now that I think about it, I have a backup process running on the network, on the NAS. Let me kill that because maybe that's still running. Maybe that's eating some of the maybe that's eating too much of the CPU. Yeah, the fact that there's nothing going on in event log makes me think that it's not a local like hardware issue or anything. So let me just check dmessage on the far end real quick. Yeah, nothing there. And then let me check just journal CTL, I guess. Yep, there's no dead man messages in there or anything like that. Okay, let me take a look at my running backup process. Oh my God. Oh no. I did a, oh my God. I was doing an rsync, and the rsync was supposed to exclude the folder with all my fucking stream recordings in it, because I don't even intend to keep those, but it ignored me and apparently decided to copy them anyway. And maybe it was copying them from the bad part of the disk. Maybe that's the issue. And so the thing is, besides the linkages to besides the stuff that was being recorded onto the other machine, there was also There's also just files that are there's a bunch of files that are loaded off a network share running on that same machine. So if the whole machine is getting hung due to a hung kernel process, then that would do it. However, I don't see any messages in the log on that machine that say that's going on. So I don't know that I think that I don't think that's it. In any case, give me a moment. Let me just give me a second to try and recover here. I mean, people are probably rejoining anyway. I just don't know if there's going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to the game. I guess it all depends on RM RF. I got to get rid of or actually sorry. Here we go. RM RF streams. Let's do our VF. Okay. Okay. And by the way, I'm rsyncing between two drives on the same machine. It's just I could have just used copy, but rsync allows me to resume it, which is going to happen here because, yeah. Anyway, okay. So let me go back to my rsync command. So it's, I guess I just don't know how to format a rsync exclude command. And yeah, exactly. Because we're using SMB. I mean, okay. So EekPi, I realize what you're saying, but I do just want to point out that NFS is like 1,000 times worse about that, and there are no other network file system protocols. So I don't know that I would say SMB is unusually bad about that. Just to be clear, like no one has actually solved this problem, and I'm not actually sure the problem is entirely solvable, because if you're going to treat a network file system as if it's local, then that involves programs being oblivious to the fact that it's networked, which means that they're going to have to respond to a hung file handle the same way they would with a local file, and there's no better way to do that. Nobody's found a better way to do that than to just block. So I don't know that this is solvable per se, other than by fixing the underlying hardware errors. rsync exclude folder. So it's relative? Yeah, okay, that's my fault. That's on me then. So it's okay, that one / stream. What is the correct name of this folder? Stream captures? Is that what I called it? Sorry. I just need to verify that the no, it's just streams. Okay. I just need to verify that the rest of the rsync completed, and I can break this. I can disconnect this share, and that'll be that. Sending incremental file list. My assumption is that I got everything. Okay, yeah, looks like I was short a small handful of files, but I got almost everything else. And okay, so if I run that, there we go. Okay, I'm just finishing the last bit of this rsync, and then maybe I can get back up on the game. I mean, the thing I'll say about SMB is that it's fast as hell. Generally speaking, I find it extremely quick. Like, I have a 10 gigabit network and I've pushed 10 gigabits over it, and so they must be doing something right. Oh, okay. The baseball game is going on, and I'm hearing that the Big Dumper is at bat right now, and I'm really hoping because apparently. So, wait. So I have a piece of information here that may inform things, which is, so OBS was just hung. No, that was just because OBS was hung. Okay. So I noticed the graphics stopped updating. It did take quite a while, though, into the stream for that hang to happen. So, let me look at my Windows logs again. I really wish that it would fucking log something when things go wrong. Just an opinion of mine. Just an opinion. But, boy, this is frustrating. It really sucks that when your computer don't work so much no good, it's really, really hard to find out why. And I get that, like, it can be difficult for a computer to diagnose itself. But I don't know. I feel like they could do better. Linux isn't that much better about this. I'm gonna check my kernel PNP and just make sure that devices are not falling off the machine. No, okay. Doesn't look like anything's been plugged in or unplugged. Let me look at device management. 541. That is not now. Huh. Now, this is interesting. I have a message in my device log that says that such and such device was surprise removed as it was reported to be failing. Now, here's the trouble. The vid is all zeros and the PID is 0002. So, yeah, I love surprise removed. It's such a great phrase. It's sort of like, unintended rapid disassembly, right? It's just so frustrating because, like, I don't know if there's anything that would help here. I don't know if there's anything I'm doing wrong. Yes, rapid unscheduled disassembly. That is the term we're looking for. Yeah, okay. Daria has called out my DAC, and that is an interesting point. I'm using a Scarlett Focusrite DAC, and it is garbage. I haven't found one that's better, but this thing does cause a lot of problems. And I did reboot my machine earlier, but we don't know that that actually rebooted the DAC. So there is something to that. Isn't that ID a PCIe lane? Well, I mean, that'd be fun, right? I mean, I guess, let me... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It says it's USB. Never mind. It says it's USB. Let me just Google this whole message and see 6 and 10 and da-da-da-da-da-da. God, I love whenever you click on one of the links to Microsoft.com forums, and it's some poor desperate soul asking a question that they're not going to get an answer to, and there's always an answer, and it's always, "Hi, I am Rob, an independent and 14-time and dual award MVP specializing in Windows troubleshooting and blue screen analysis. Please remember, as independents, we are not responsible for," and so on, all this boilerplate about how he's just some random scammer, right? And then all they ever do is tell you to run fucking SFC scan now, every time, right? And indeed, all this does is tell them to install new drivers, and then the drivers are wrong. And my favorite part about this is that every single one of these posts then includes a disclaimer that these may be non-Microsoft websites that appear to be providing accurate, safe information, but the ads may advertise products frequently classified as a PUP, potentially unwanted products. I think that if you were one of the people who actually got by this, like, this guy is not posting links to malware websites. It's just Microsoft.com, AMD.com, and Intel.com, right? And so this boilerplate doesn't even belong here. But even if it did, if he was linking to some garbage website, I think that any court in the land, if faced with somebody saying, yeah, they said it was a PUP, potentially unwanted program, I would respond with, okay, so you just lied to them. You didn't tell them the truth, because there is no living creature who knows what a PUP is. That is nonsense. That's gibberish. This absolutely bizarre bullshit Microsoft is trying to make a thing. They've been trying to push PUP for fucking 12 years now. No one's ever going to say this. The term is malware. What is Microsoft afraid of here? This is the thing. This is what I always come back to in my head. Whenever I see corporate behavior like this, I always ask myself, what is the scenario they are afraid of? Would they be able to articulate it? Would they be able to actually explain? Like, if you were to say, give me just an example of an absurd. Just give me an absurd example. Give me a ridiculous example of a scenario that could happen where this ends up mattering, where you've linked to a website and said that an ad on that site might be malware. Then a person installs McAfee, which we all consider malware. Microsoft didn't say McAfee was malware. What they said was, be aware there's malware out there. What are the chances that somebody could make the argument that Microsoft branded their product as malware in this indirect a fashion? It's not possible. It's not possible. It couldn't happen. And given that Microsoft's, no, everything Pup describes as malware. Every normal human would call it all malware. Because driver installers are also malware. They are not pups. They are malware. They are a virus. It doesn't matter what they do. Every single person who knows anything about this would call that malware. So there's no person for which this warning would be useful, because they're using a term that could only possibly be known by people who would never use that term and already know about this threat. And so, like, they don't need to do this. They have trillions of dollars in the bank. The risk of like a loss. Okay. All right. I believe we're back. So, there's an interesting problem going on. So Clive is running in, a separate window, and did it just shit the bed again? No? Okay. There we go. Oh, that's fucking weird. Okay, so I use two programs to make Clive, right? I've got one called VC Face, which renders him. That's what you're seeing being captured in the corner there. And then there's a second one called VRig Unity, which is responsible for actually talking to the webcam and doing the motion analysis. And what I noticed is during this last freeze, that VC Face appeared to freeze while VRig Unity didn't. VC Face did not appear to freeze. It continued rendering Clive's face. Like I could see, I think I saw his mouth moving, and I certainly saw the animation going up his face and the eye blinking. So he was still being rendered, but he wasn't moving. And that makes me think that what's going on here is that this is actually a problem with, like the USB, because let me see if there's a new message in here now saying that a device was surprise removed. Because a notion that I have is that it's the USB crashing for some reason. Maybe because the Elgato camera I'm using is getting sleepy. Maybe it's overheating or something. It doesn't feel overheated, but yeah, there's no, doesn't seem to be any message. Yeah, there's nothing saying it was unplugged. But still, I wonder if that's it. So what I'm going to do, could be the camera is bad. Now, this fortunately is something that I can solve using a little guy. And so I'm probably going to box. Oh. Yep. Okay. All right. Okay, I think we're back. Yeah. Okay, so I confirmed that time around that when the freeze happened, that VRig Unity froze hard, the whole program. So whatever's going on there, I don't know if it's an issue. I don't know if it's an issue with a file handle being hung on the on the remote machine or what the issue is. But either way, I think that is the problem. So it could be the case. There's a good possibility here this is actually my fault. Yeah. Because I did have that rsync running, and it was running the entire stream, but it wasn't until a little bit ago when the shit started crashing that it wasn't until that point when it started copying these really big files. It started copying these like 150 gigabyte files. And I wonder if what that did is it filled up some sort of RAM buffer and started causing file handles, new file handle open requests to hang. That would make a lot of sense. So if that's the case, let me just see here, then we can debug this by, let me get rid of this file that it only partially copied so I can recopy it later. Okay, good. It canceled that file. Excellent. If that's the case, then we can debug this for sure by stopping the rsync, okay, and then restarting vrig Unity, and then we'll give it a little bit and we'll see if it shits the bed again. Okay, so rsync has been hashing the file. Okay, so that might be the case that, no, Ruby rocks. All the transfers are happening between 2 drives on a Linux machine running ZFS, so I don't think that would be it. So let's go ahead and, there we go. We'll restart vrig Unity, and now we're going to give this a little bit. It would make sense that what's going on here is that everything works until when it's like, while it's copying a file, it's just using up IOPS on the machine, on the server. And then when it gets to the end of that file and starts the next one, it suddenly hits the CPU super hard hashing that file, which not only eats up all the available IOPS going to the drive, but also just hangs the CPU, because it's running it's just running natively on the machine. It's not inside a VM. It's not execution capped. So it's hitting the CPU and the hard drive as hard as it can. And so the file calls from vrig Unity are just timing out. Now, of course, this begs the question, why the fuck is vrig Unity opening, reading, or writing anything? All the data it needs is still in memory. But I don't think that's it. I don't think we should investigate that angle. We'll just lose our minds. So if that's the case, then this should be stable now, and it might explain why the game started crashing when it did. I'm not sure. In any case, though, yeah, exactly, getting the MD5 of a 200 gig file. The thing is that I thought I had excluded all of those. I did not realize that there were also a bunch of enormous archive files from past shoots sitting on that drive. I'd not known that. So if I'd realized that, I never would have run the rsync. I thought that was done 2 hours ago. I thought I was only copying a handful of small files. So that may explain what's going on. So having killed the rsync for good this time, I'm just going to go ahead and restart the game, and if the stream blows up, the stream blows up. But if not, I would like to get back to it because I was having a good time, and I'd like to continue having a good time. Right, but the camera is on a different machine than the one that's doing the file copy, so it wouldn't. They're not occupying the same namespace. So the only thing that really makes sense here is that the only thing that would really make sense here is that randomly vrig Unity makes a file open call. That call hangs, and I guess. But why would that cause the whole machine to? Because like the whole fucking machine gets wedged when this occurs. So, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. That's a fair point, Atheron. I don't know what the default settings are on this particular version of Linux. It's some older Ubuntu, I think, that I set up years ago. So, who knows what the defaults are? Maybe it has a silly implicit -C. But having said that, let's go play a video game while we're here. If it hangs again, I will kill vrig Unity for good. We'll just get rid of, pardon me. We'll just get rid of Clive entirely and see if that fixes it. But for the moment, Oops, not that mode. Which one were we playing before? Were we doing Breakthrough or Conquest? I think we were doing Conquest, so let's do Breakthrough. And yeah, exactly. I can T-pose him if need be. So we'll do that. Oh, good. It's Liberation Peak. Yeah, during the scuffle, Clive dropped his gun and his hammer. Yeah, that's what I was saying. We got to move Clive to a little guy, and I guess what we'll have to do is we'll just we'll have to use NDI, I guess, which is its own hell. It's not Battlefield. It's not Battlefield unless guys are jumping through the air and throwing mines. Okay. Oh wow! I blew up that tank. Hooray! We're videos gamings again. You sound like Squiscar. We are videos gamings. Oh, I missed it. Okay, I'm just gonna say. I am not going to say the name of the player who I'm shooting at. I think that's unwise. In the context of, let me just get a shot off at... I'll choose not to do that. I think that's in my interest. Well, yeah, I mean, like... I don't think it takes very much oomph to do the necessary analysis of the image, because it's all happening in software anyway. It's not AI or anything. I can't do a good Squiscar voice, but yes, that episode was hilarious. Food's the library. Ah. Okay, let me get my head straight here. Okay, so what's going on in this match is I think I joined in late. I think I joined in late in the match, and so they have either already captured several objectives or okay, their tickets are ticking down. I think they've either already captured several objectives or they haven't, and they're very low on lives and are super desperate because, yeah, the enemy team is pushing super hard. Let's see. Will anybody rev me? Oh, no, probably not, because this is as we were discussing earlier. He missed. He's not going to make a second pass on that one. I don't blame him. Wait a minute, where is it? I don't know if y'all heard that, but they captured a, yep, so they captured that objective, so now the battle lines have moved up. There's a new objective they want to capture, and in addition, when they do that, they get a reimbursement of a certain number of soldiers. So basically their tickets go back up, so they have more, they have a better chance now. So I think we sort of had him on the ropes earlier, but... So by the way, you may recall, I was most of the way through this conversation earlier, but the SMG can absolutely be used for long-distance shooting. I think that's a couple of 100 meters there, right? It's pretty far, and I'm definitely not hitting these guys. Hang on a second.
There's a hostile sniper to south of your current position. Stay covered.
Okay. Sorry, I'm hearing some updates on the baseball game, and apparently we are once again getting our asses stomped by the Blue Jays, which is bad news. Primarily because it's extremely funny if the Mariners go to the World Series. Yeah, see, there you go. You should not be able to use a submachine gun to engage at that distance. But if you couldn't, then I would not want to play engineer, because I know that I'm not going to be able to divide the duties on the team effectively. You know. Oh, by the way, I was gonna say earlier that so generally speaking, when you get shot enough in this game to fall down, you know, canonically you are not shot, you are not doing well. Basically, like the game, there's some difficult video gameism, you know, ludo narrative shit to deal with in making a realistic feeling simulation of real war, while also dealing with the fact that if you get shot with a bullet in the real world, you have to heal for 6 months before you can, you know, go back out and do anything. And most, you know, and a lot of the time you just die anyway. And so the way they split that difference is if you get shot enough, you fall down, but you're not really necessarily injured. You're just out of the fight for the moment until somebody, you know, drags you back in. And you can mind palace this in several different ways. I like the idea that you're basically getting, you know, shell shocked in the moment, but that, you know, if your buddy comes and, you know, slaps your face and, you know, in this case hits you with the adrenaline, that you get your head back in the game and can press on. But if you get shot in the head, you just die, right? Like headshots are headshots, right? The game has no bones about that. And headshots are, you know, human heads are pretty small, so headshots are pretty hard to get unless you're a sniper and you're really going for it. So a lot of the time you don't just get them. So most guys you knock down will get back up if they've got somebody there to help them out. But headshots do happen, and in particular, if a sniper manages to headshot you, you get a big, embarrassing message on your screen that says, in uppercase, fatal sniper headshot. And it is very funny. Oh, I got that guy with the sledgehammer, but not quite hard enough. Oops. I think maybe that teammate was going to res me, but whatever. All right. Get fucked. All right, that was good. All right, someone's painted that tank. I damaged the tank, but I have not blown him up. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So when I was playing the demo, or the beta, I remember that very few people were healing the tanks. In fact, for most of the beta, I didn't realize the tanks could be healed. Like, sorry. I sort of get tunnel vision with games, and so it makes me do some pretty silly things. Anybody who's watched me play a game, you know, in real time can tell you that sometimes I just do some pretty silly things in games and miss pretty obvious things. It happens a lot. And so one of them is I just never took the time to cycle through my weapons on each of my classes and see what they were. In fact, I still really haven't. I think on the sniper, I still don't know all the stuff, the gadgets they have. I should probably do that sometime. But anyway, so for most of the game, most of the beta, I never noticed that there was a propane torch on the engineer. And then once I did get it, I didn't immediately know, you know, once I did notice it, I didn't immediately know what it was for. So it wasn't until I saw other people healing tanks that I went, oh, right, duh, it's a repair gun. Okay, that makes sense. So the thing is, it's unlimited. You could do as much repair as you want. It overheats, so you have to you know, you got to edge, right? You got to let it heat up and then cool off, and then heat up and cool off. But you can get like 2/3 of a tank's health back in one like magazine of torch fuel, which is pretty effective. And so the end result is that well, right, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like I have not played Battlefield since Battlefield 3, and I barely played that. I mostly played 1942 and Battlefield 2, so I'm just not really up on this stuff very much. And so this, you know, it just didn't occur to me. And anyway, I thought I saw a tank over here, but I guess that was just a tank corpse. Oh, but I do see that. I thought I saw guys moving on A. Oh, you know what? We're about to win if they don't manage to cap anything. Okay, now see, that's how you get an RPG kill. So this guy's on fire. Oh, he's going to get me. So that guy's on fire, which means he's going to explode if they don't do anything. But I would like to... Did he explode? There we go. Okay. He was in the spot where I think the tank was slowly burning to death, but his engineer, I think, was about to fix him. But I just ran up there and finished the job with the torch. Fucking worth it. You cannot run this. You cannot run this under Proton because it uses kernel anti-cheat, which is absolutely Windows dependent. So, ain't ever going to happen. You got to have secure boot on before you play the game. It was a very controversial. Anyway, so throughout the beta, I didn't really see very many people healing their tanks, and so killing tanks was really, really easy. And then the game proper came out, and oh, I'm sorry, pardon me. The game proper came out, and I noticed that everybody was healing their tanks. And what has happened at this point is pretty much it's very much a caster healer sort of situation where if you're going to attack a tank, you need to have an engineer and then a separate guy with you in your squad who is coordinated with you so that they can kill the healers while you attack the tank. Because if you just do one, if you kill the healers, then the tank's going to get you, and if you if you shoot the tank, it's just going to get buffed back up by the healers. And the thing is, again, because this is real video game moments and not a realistic simulation, the other problem is that you could drive a tank and heal a tank. You can't do it from inside, but nothing stops you from shooting at a guy who's shooting at you, killing him, then jumping out, healing your tank, and getting back in. It really doesn't take very long. So I've done that a lot. It can get you killed if the enemy's paying attention, but they very frequently aren't. Now, let's see. Is this the map with the big tall buildings, or is this the one with... Okay, I think this is the one that's just like some... Yeah, this is just a bombed out hellhole. This is my least favorite map. I don't like this one very much. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. Drones. One of the things they've added to the game is drones. And I think they just basically show the enemy where you are. And then they have the ability to, I think I read that they can destroy certain gadgets that your team can deploy using like electronic countermeasures. And so, God, this is one reason to have a rifle. I'm tagging the thing, but I'm just not bagging it. Okay, I think, nope, it's still up there. There, got his ass. Spent all my bullets on it, but it's probably worth it. Oh, well, there we go. 0-0-0-0, because you don't get points for killing a drone. You know, I never saw Battlefield Vietnam, but I think it's old enough that it was self-hosted, right? So if I were to get a copy of it, I could probably still... There wouldn't be any players, but I could probably still see how it played, right? Because, yeah, I was always curious about it. It seems like a really bad idea. Oh, the drones can blow up mines and other explosives? Really? Okay. Wow, that's huge. I didn't know they could do that. So I can't remember if the drone is class-based or if anybody could take it. Isn't it something that either the support or the sniper has to do? So I think that might be one more job that they're trying to get people to not just be shoot-mans, but do other things as well. Oh, thank you. That's another thing they added. I don't think it was in the beta. I believe they added the thank you button after somebody revs you, which I love. Again, for some reason, I'm really not getting any of the voices. Maybe you're hearing them.
Medic!
Okay, yeah, no, I guess the voices are working because I can hear the the call for medic. But usually when you hit thank you, it'll read, one of 3 or 4 phrases, Thanks, you're a lifesaver, etc. Which I think is the idea of calling someone a lifesaver when they did in fact literally just save your life is extremely funny to me. I don't know. It's like there's just something. There's something about like, damn man, you really pulled my ass out of the fire. You say to a firefighter who just pulled your ass out of the fire. You know, right? That's weird, right? That's weird. I think. This reminds me of a very uncomfortable moment that happened to me the other night because the Mariners were getting fucking heel hauled by the Blue Jays for several games, and then they started, you know, they all of a sudden turned that around, and a friend of mine was at a pumpkin patch when this happened, and so I had to relate the story to him, and as I got near the end of it, I said, "Ah, man, I'm sorry, I don't know how else to put this, but there's no better way to explain what happened. We weren't doing very well, and then all of a sudden, we knocked it out of the park." I'm sorry for using this cliche sports analogy, but unfortunately, we did exactly the thing that the analogy describes. We, in fact, suddenly knocked it out of the park. I have Airwolf. Nothing, no other phrase could more accurately describe my situation right now. So are we on defense? Yes, we're on defense. That does make sense. It feels like we're on defense. There's the tank. Did he blow up? I think he blew up. Just in case, we'll go ahead and lay down spicy frisbees. So I'll tell you one thing that I don't like about this game, and I understand why they did it. I don't like it. What it is so there's territories, right? Obviously, you don't. Oh my God! Yeah, right off the bat, I guess that does describe a thing, doesn't it? Shit.
I'm fucking hit!
So, when, obviously, it goes without saying that I've got knocked down 3 times. It goes without saying that you don't want spawn camping, especially in a game like this, right? So, if the game has defined headquarters areas where you spawn that are, you can get more spawn areas by capturing territory in pretty much all the modes, but there's always a headquarters area that's your last resort, and that's always supposed to be a safe haven, right? You don't want it to be possible for the enemy to invade there and spawn camp. That'll just ruin the game. So if I advance, 20 yards that way, I'm going to get this message that says you're leaving the action area. Please return now. And if you don't do it, then it kills you, right? Now, I get why they have to do this. It solves several problems. First, it keeps you from just because the maps don't have hard borders on them, right? We stopped doing that in video game design. It's always there's no invisible walls, and visible ones look terrible. So what we do now is we use soft walls. You get beyond a certain distance, and long before you'll be killed long before you have a chance to find out that the world ends at some point, right? It's just an obvious necessity from modern game design. There's no avoiding it. So I get that they have to do that, right? And then also, what better way can you keep people from spawn camping, right? Giga Gravis, is that you? Not that I know of. The problem is that you can't see those lines. They're visible on the minimap, but the minimap is not in a position where you can reasonably look at it while you're playing. And so, yes, you can check it if you're strategizing, but I mean, look at this. I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to check a map. Do you see what game I'm playing? Holy hell. Get out of here, right?
Fuck! Need a medic!
No? No? Okay. I mean, that's fair, honestly. He's got other places to be. I'm going to respawn.
Let's move.
There we go. So the one thing I wish they did differently is I wish that they had a painted line in the world that represented the border of your territory, because it's so common that I'm in the middle of like chasing a guy and I don't notice that I'm edging up on the you know, the safety strip around the baseball field, right? We need one of those. We need a safety strip, because it sucks when you that you have to find out that you've hit the border at the exact, like that, right? I wish that it was like, warning, you're getting close to the edge of the combat area, rather than going directly into the 10-second countdown. Partly because it feels like, I know this is petty, but it feels like the game is telling me I did something wrong when I didn't. I just played it normally and didn't notice their little bit of metadata. And, you know, that's not really my fault, because it's really hard to tell other than by, what the fuck is that? I think it was a gadget. It's really hard to see. You don't have time to look at the minimap, so like, it's not my fault that I'm not in the mission area. And sometimes 10 seconds just isn't long enough to get back where I was. If I was, you know, if I was engaging with a guy and he's shooting at me, I need sometimes more than 10 seconds to get out of his, you know, field of fire. And so I just wish the game was a little more forgiving about that. To be fair, I've only actually gotten got by it maybe twice in the entire game. But it's a game feel thing.
We need to defend the marked objective.
Oh, yeah, I guess the pin comment probably is gone, isn't it? It's a new stream. All right, let me go over there and ask Clive to say it again. Timers.
Hostiles are attacking
Play.
Alpha.
Yeah. Anyway, so again, by the way, as discussed, we are trying to hold down this capture point, because if the enemy manages to capture this objective, then they may manage to take territory, and then they're going to get a big boost in soldiers. Right now, we only have to kill them. We only have to get 8 more deaths, and we win the match, right? And so obviously that's probably going to happen at this point. But if they were at, you know, if they were at 40, there's a good chance they'd be able to capture this. And then when they capture the objective, they get a reimbursement of, you know, 100 odd soldiers, and so they get to die that many more times before they lose. So we're currently getting destroyed by the Blue Jays, 0-5. So I think we have one more chance after this if we lose this one. So also, yeah, I've seen a Gravis ultrasound once in person. I named myself after the Gravis gamepad, not the ultrasound. One thing I think is really funny, because like this is something we've discussed a little bit, you know, the meta text of the game here, that the bro energy, right? Like for instance, these guys should look back and forth at your mouse cursor. I'm right. I am 100% correct here. When you move your mouse cursor back and forth, they should all follow it with their heads. Everybody agrees with this. You're not going to find a person who disagrees with this, okay? It's just a fact. So they screwed that up. But someone did assert earlier that that's like mega turbo bro hypermask shit to have the squad all posted up there. And I agree, you know, and like I said earlier, I'm not immune to masculine propaganda, right? I'm cis, so it just hits me square in the center of mass, right? Oh, wait a minute. Is it this fucking mission?
Defend your objectives and deplete the enemy forces.
Is it this fucking mission? If it's this mission, if it's the one I think it is, this is a fucking meat. Oh yeah, this is a fucking meat grinder. This one just starts out so hot and heavy. I took the wrong fucking loadout. So these guys are all rushing on. This single point, and defending it is just incredibly hard. They're just coming from fucking everywhere, and it's just gibber. It's just indecipherable. Though to be honest, God, this is going better than it did last time. I've only played this map a couple of times. It's funny, actually. I was talking at the beginning of the stream about how this game is fascinating because it has the same map, but in like six or seven different modes. Basically, this map here, Breakthrough, this map here, Manhattan Bridge. Notice it's Manhattan Bridge : Olympia. So that's like a subgenre of this map. So you can play this exact map with all this geometry and these buildings and whatnot in a whole bunch of different ways, and they feel completely different. We've actually played this. We've played this map 2 or 3 times in this stream, but none of them felt like this because they were gated off differently depending on the scale of engagement that they wanted. And so this one, this particular area has never been contested in any of the other versions of this map that I've played. But in this one, it is bitter. Like, this fight goes incredibly hard. As you can see, I mean, they're not moving, we're not moving, we're just stalemated here, and it feels like they are pushing relentlessly, right? I think it's fascinating. I was talking to somebody about this last night, and I was saying one of my favorite things about this sort of game and how it, just sort of boosts whatever your testosterone levels are. This thing just gives you a shot in the fucking arm, right? That's what these are designed to do. If you're engaging with this game at all, in any way, I don't care what your natural persona is like. If you are engaging with this game in any way, you are going full hoorah, hoorah, Marines lead the way, bullshit. Like, there's no avoiding it. It's necessary. There's no other way to play the game, right? You got to get your blood up. And so, there's, some games are going to be more, some games are going to be a little more, nerve-wracking than others. Some you're going to take a little more seriously than others. But when it comes down to it, there's going to be this moment where there's a guy with a tank, and he's killed you and your buddies like 3 or 4 times. Buddies, you don't know these people. You've never met them before. You have no ideology in common. And that guy in the tank, you're sitting there calling him a bastard. He's you. In the next game, he's going to be you. You're going to trade places, and then, you're going to be the bastard in the tank, right? In any given moment, you're saying, these scumbags, these pieces of shit, and they're all doing the stuff that you're doing, right? It's if you cross your eyes just right, it's a pretty good commentary on the nature of war, okay? Maybe just a little bit. What I find fascinating is that this game, when you play the different modes, despite the fact that you know that every single one starts the same way with, both of you get the little animation that says, all right, move out, kill the enemy, generic, lowercase enemy, right? Just whoever isn't wearing the same colors as you, shoot them. That's all we're doing here, right? It's a baseball game. You want the other guy to die because he's not on your side. You can still, at times, really, really find yourself going, these pieces of shit, these bastards. You can really actually get properly mad at them for doing what you would do. And if they didn't do it, you wouldn't be having a good time, right? Oh, wow, I actually got a hit with that grenade? Oh. And so it's like, this is stuff that, these are not deep thoughts, right? These are things we've been aware of since time immemorial, with sports, and then since time 1994 with video games. But I don't know. I think it comes out with this one in a way that I didn't really feel with some of the other competitive shooters that I played, like, I did play a little Apex Legends. I played a little PUBG back before that sort of changed a little bit. I'm trying to think what else. I don't do this very much, But there have been times when I picked up one of these games and played it for, a few months, couple hundred rounds or whatever, and then, game changed or whatever. And every time, there's certain feelings that are common, and then there's certain ones that are different. The specific sort of tone and energy of these games differ. And that's, of course, why, you pick one over another. Your small squad-based game versus your larger squad-based game is a pretty big difference in feeling, And one of the reasons I was excited about Battlefield was the fact that they're big matches, right? It's 64 players typically, and I think that's great. I think the fact that it's there's a good chance you're going to see the same guy twice. You can get your little rivalries, right? You can end up with your little you're playing against some guy named Frog Pounder. And that's another thing, by the way, is I thank God we still have video game names, right? What do we got? Horchata Hoarder, X Big Claw. I don't know where the fuck I am. Pierre. Herbert.do. Yeah, these ones aren't so hot, but I've seen some great ones even today. So yeah, you can be playing one of these matches, and in the space of the half an hour that you're there, you can develop a little rivalry with a guy where he's like, I got your ass, you kept sniping me, and I just fucking got your ass. And then of course there's the little dramas. There's the little melodramas that play out where you're really trying to get to some objective, and there's a sniper who keeps getting you every single time, and you keep thinking I got you this time. No, he's got your ass. And then finally you get him with a grenade or something like that. That's correct. Yeah, the guy at the top of the leaderboard. Oh, that guy's cheating, actually. He's either cheating or he's sniping. Oh, he's sniping. Okay, yeah, that guy has a 20-0. So he's got to be sniping. Wow. I wonder where the fuck he is. He must be posted up all the way back at their HQ and just doing entirely long barrel shit, because that's a ridiculous. That's the sort of KD where you think the game will just ban you automatically for assumption of cheating. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
You're exiting the combat zone. Turn back now.
See, this is why you're not allowed to go into the enemy's fucking spawn area, because oh nice, I got a fucking kill off that grenade. Let's go, boys and girls. Etc. Etc. I will say, by the way, that fucking our team is just carrying this thing. We're really. I guess that's you know what? That's the one. That's a grenade kill. Wow. Rare collect. The one thing I'll say is, sure, you may not have an ideological difference with the other team. You know that they're just people like you. However, what you can do is you can let yourself believe, sometimes justifiably, that you're on the team that's better. Not, morally better, like hopefully you would believe if you were in a real army, but better at playing the game. Because, of course, probably most gamers do not perceive this as any sort of as anything other than a test of wits and ability, right? Sometimes to the exclusion of any sort of common sense or reason, but obviously that's what this is to most people, as it should be, and it's just a natural thing that for whatever reason. Humans like to be on the side that's doing a better job, regardless of what that job is. It's sort of why a lot of people are rooting for the Mariners right now, who do not give two fucks about baseball. Because look, if I'm gonna have a team, I'd like to have the team that's winning. We like to be on the winning side. But also, there's that implicit judgment of we're on the winning side because we are better in some intrinsic way. And the way that comes out a lot of the time is the get good / skill issue view on things, which is it feels good to be on the team that's winning and believe that it's because you're the ones who are taking the game more seriously and more professionally, if you will. Ow, he says, getting fucking murked. And so it is fun, especially if you're playing casually and not really paying attention to, overall, winning or losing. Which I will say, in a game with 64 players, if you aren't playing in a squad, the chances that you can move the needle aren't super high, because there probably isn't that much that can be accomplished by 1 out of 64 soldiers that's really gonna change things. I mean, once in a while you've got you encounter a squad that's just utterly fucking up. Like they're posted up at some capture point, and they've got like a tank there they're hiding behind, and just nobody on your team seems to grok that they need to blow up the fucking tank, and so you go and do it, and then that finally you get that point, and you weren't going to, right? It obviously wasn't going to happen. So there are cases where you can measurably move the needle, but it ain't super common, I would say, unless your team really is screwing up. What can happen is you can be playing the game, not really giving that much of a shit, and then just go like, oh, wait a minute, we're kicking ass, we're stomping the enemy team, what the hell? And then just realize that everybody on your team is cooperating, and they're pushing together, and they're seeing what each other need to do. It is neat that due to the design of the game, you don't actually need to be in constant voice communication or anything in order for a lot of the objectives to be, to be easily perceived. You can see what your team needs. There's HUD objectives that tell you a lot of it, and then for everything else, there's MasterCard. And I mean, so in this case, I'll say that, like, I've played this before with a team that was not this dedicated to defense, and we got fucking stomped. It was a bloodbath. They pushed through us in 5 minutes. It was terrifying. This one, we're pushing them back. Like, if we could actually get into their AO, we'd be pushing them back to their headquarters right now. Like, they're just not doing as good a job as us. I don't know why. It just, we rolled the dice, and this time around we came up with better, more determined players on this side. Or maybe the other side isn't taking it as seriously. Maybe they all got high ping. Maybe the matchmaking fucked up. I don't know. But either way, for whatever reason, it's clear that one team is the better team. So it would be great if Dark Horse would get me up. Oh, well, he's sniping. Oh, well, somebody did. Yeah, okay, now I'm dead. Oh, what? Did they zap me mid-death? Huh. That could happen. Another thing that I haven't noticed a lot of bugs in the game. Generally speaking, it's pretty solid, and even for the more oh yeah, we're gonna win this one. Ah, they never had a chance. I'm gonna blow that tree up. Treant. That was fun. And the thing that I, when I was first playing this game, I was often on teams that were not as good. I took a lot of losses. But the weird thing is that, so it feels like as I played the game, again, I think I commented on this earlier, but I think the matchmaking is working pretty well, because I feel like as I've played this game, the matches have gotten more even. They've gotten more evenly matched. Because for the first, 40 games that I played or something like that, it felt like every time the decision was made in the first few minutes of the game. Like, you'd start out and you'd both have, 900 tickets, and then 10 minutes into the game, you've got, 600 and 900, and they're just keel hauling you, and then we never recovered. Like, every time that happened, you'd be 10 minutes into the game and going like, well, there's not really any point in playing because I know how this is going to go. What started happening as I continued to play is either the players in general got better, because the game's only been out for, what, a week? Something like that? It's a pretty new game. Did I get the game-winning? Try attacking next time. Hope this helps. Holy hell, what an asshole. Oh, cool. And I ranked off of it. Oh, and I got that shitty UMP. What a terrible submachine gun. What do I do? 22 and 16? That's not too bad. I got 9 assists also. So yeah, either the player base in general got better, or the players I was playing with got more evenly matched. Because it does sort of make sense that if you're playing at the bottom of the rank list, if you're all, you know, rank 0, then there's going to be some natural differences in how well everyone plays based on the fact that you're not actually coming in equal. Like when you're rank 0 in this game, you're not truly evenly matched. What you are is unknown, right? And so some people are going to be true noobs who've, you know, maybe never played a competitive FPS before. Others are going to be hyper casuals who just, you know, they played this 1 or 2 times, but just like aren't putting in the effort to really, you know, get good at it, or aren't going to. And then you've got people who right off the bat are just in, you know, those motherfuckers that everyone hates who, you know, 10 minutes into the game's release, they have 30,000 hours of gameplay somehow. You know, like not literally, but they just, the game comes out and immediately it seems like they know everything about it and they have 1,000, you know, wins and they've got all the shit unlocked and they're like rank 60 and you're like, how did you do this? It's been 3 days. It takes a minimum of several hours to win one of these ranks. The math doesn't make sense. How the fuck did people do that? And it's every game. Every single game is like this. I remember, what was the phrase that someone, I think it was Penny Arcade, I want to say, in one of the news posts, referred to the phenomenon of infinitely experienced 12-year-olds. You know, it's like these kids who are just there immediately when a game comes out, and they know everything, and they can kill you effortlessly, and you're like, I'm 30, I don't fucking have time to get this good, right? Anyway, a lot of that just comes, I think, from sheer aggression. Like, there is a certain amount of... Exactly. No life tryhards. Exactly. There is a certain amount of there's a certain amount of ability in these games that is determined by how much you want to win. And that's just going to be a given, right? This is a hard fucking thing to do. It's just like any other, it's like anything else that is in the least way skill-based. Like if it requires you to press the buttons at the right moments, then if you just aren't tuned in, if you just aren't, if you don't have a dog in the race, if you don't care about the outcome, then you aren't really going to press the buttons at the right time, right? Now, there's a distance between that and does the game make it easy to press the buttons at the right time, and that's a whole separate topic, but the point is, if you don't care, you're not going to play well. This is a given. And if you do care, then even if you don't know how to play the game, if you are trying your goddamnedest, you're probably going to be better than the person who just doesn't give a shit or doesn't know yet how to give a shit, what to do with the shit that they get. And so, you know, at rank 0, you're going to have a wide split in people's actual ability based largely on how much they want to win. And then as you move up even 1 or 2 ranks, I think you're going to see that split widen very rapidly because the game, I think that if you don't care at all, then you're probably going to end up stuck at the rank 0 forever. And that probably is a lot of the remaining, like the genuine issues with matchmaking come down to the fact that, and this is a universal complaint, but you cannot press a button that says, I'm a dad, let me play against only dads. I don't have time for this, I don't want to get invested in this, I just want to have fun. Because if that button exists, who's going to press it? The fucking bros are going to press it. The trolls are going to press it. The fucking the griefers are going to press it because the thing that they want to do is to make you unhappy, right? So that is the one case where the ability to run, you know, dedicated servers is missed. I think the trouble is, like, no one actually did that with dedicated servers. You could have, but no one did. Conceivably, it was possible, but it's not. I don't think it ever really happened. Every server I was ever on in any game, there were people there who were much better than me. So I think it's only a theoretical loss, not a practical one. I think the trouble is that in order to get a group of people together who are willing to play a game casually, they would need to be sufficiently uncasual to give a shit about that. You know? It's a contradiction in terms. Either people care enough or, you know, to make room for it in their life, or they don't. And if they don't, then, you know, it's moot. So... No, I'm not saying that you either are or aren't competitive. What I'm saying is that if you take two people and just throw them into the game, you know, all things being equal, right? If they don't know anything about the game, etc. If one of them is just like balls to the walls, like yeah, I'm gonna kick ass, and the other one's like, no, let's just see what this is about. What do you think's gonna happen, right? I mean, it's pretty it's a pretty sure thing, and that's just it's an unsolvable problem. You know, it's the contradiction of. It's the contradiction of, you know, how do you put emphasis on gameplay for the person who, by definition, is not particularly emphatic about it? I don't know. And again, you just can't solve the problem that there's no way to separate out the people who want to play it with each other, because there are always assholes, and the assholes are always going to ruin it for everybody. So. In any case, though, what I will say is that I think that you know, if you're committing to it and moving up in the ranks, I think that you only have to move a couple ranks before you stop seeing that sort of divide. Once you get to like, I think I saw more assholes, you know, insulting people in the first couple matches of the game, you know, the first couple dozen probably, than I have ever since, because that's where you're going to find the people. That's where you're going to find the assholes who are just there to pick off the noobs and aren't actually playing well. They're just there to pick off the noobs. You know, if you're good at the game, then you don't want to sit around beating up the noobs. If you're good at the game, you just get satisfaction out of being good at the game. You know, not to say that I'm great, but that has been my strategy. Like, I'm obviously better than the average bear, and it is because I wanted to be. I put in a bunch of effort. I've spent, you know, several dozen hours playing this because I wanted to be good at it, because I thought that it was cool. And the thing is, I've done that to the exclusion of anything else, right? It's what I chose to do with my life right now, so of course I'm going to be better than somebody who doesn't do that. But if you do that, at least there is the fact that I think it tends to make the game better, and you don't have to be balls to the walls, you know, screaming, bro, fuck you, dude, fuck you, piece of shit, dude, fuck, you know, you don't need to be hoorah about it. But if you are, you know, putting in really any effort, enough to get up a couple of ranks, I think it actually becomes paradoxically more hospitable. And again, I wish there was a solution for this. I wish you could fucking apply to EA, like send them. You send them your driver's license proving that you're over 30, and they put you in the special club where you only get matched with other people who don't have time for this shit. You know? Yeah, I mean, there is playing with bots. I've heard there's bots. So when you're playing certain modes, particularly late at night, the game will fill. If it can't get enough people for a full match, it will fill with bots. They seemed better than I expected. I don't know that I've... a lot of the time, bots in modern games... Like, I remember they would happen in... was it PUBG or Apex or something I was playing where bots started showing up, and they were really irritating because they were so dumb. And then I think they've got them in Fortnite, and they're, like, just completely brain dead. Sorry. This game has filled with bots a few times, and it is frustrating. You can definitely tell that they're not players, It helps that they make the names very obvious. Like, not only does it tell you in the scoreboard who's a bot, but also they're all named private this and corporal that, so it's unambiguous. It's actually, I thought that was a really cute decision because they're not called. Some games use like really stupid names for bots that that really stand out and kind of I don't know, wreck the immersion a little bit. These are like you could easily picture somebody using all these names, but nobody ever actually would. It's a weird paradox. So and then the other thing is that I'm trying to remember what game it was. I think it was God, was it PUBG? That like when you play your first game, there was some competitive shooter I was playing, and I think this is actually kind of commonplace these days, where when you make an account for the first time, the first couple games you play are only bots, and you cannot play against humans until you've won several matches against bots. And this never happens again. You know, as soon as you've ranked up even once, it never happens again. I think the game still... Oh, I got Sledgehammer executed. Hilarious. I guess he's got my dog tags now. That's an analogy for my nuts. God, yeah. If this was a community server, you would have been kicked for RPG on infantry. Yeah. That's, you know what? That's the other thing. I assume this is what you're referring to, but like, so when I was playing, you know, when I was playing community servers back in the days when we had dedicated servers for, you know, TF2 and whatnot, it was even worse. I was talking earlier about how nobody actually wants that era back. It sucked. It was miserable. And among the many problems with it is that every single server has a little microculture with a bunch of little rules that you have to learn. And so and they're all based on like shit that is alien to you. And so every single time you join a new server, so like this is probably less true for games that aren't based on fucking Half-Life, but just the Half-Life and Half-Life 2 experience was like you join a server for like TF2, and the very first thing that happens is you hear like 23 overlapping sound effects as a whole bunch of weird admin custom script defined triggers go off for all these different events that occurred, none of which you care about or understand anything about. And then this huge message of the day appears that's a combination of like a massive list of rules, all of which are just dire in tone. They're all like, if you do this, you'll be banned. If you do this, you'll be banned for 3 days. If you do this, you'll be banned for, you know, if you wish to appeal your ban, just all this shit. You're just like, I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to be involved in any of this. I don't want to know these chuds. All I wanted to fucking do was shoot guys for 20 minutes and then go to bed, right? But now I'm being asked to get jumped into this weird fucking community. I don't know you people. I just want to play the fucking video game. There's all these rules here that are about people, not me. That doing things I don't care about and I'm not going to do, and I don't know what, you know, who, and then you get banned from the fucking server, and you're like, what the fuck? And you check your console, and yeah, it turns out the ban was because like you fucking shotgunned a dude in the back in the enemy base, because it turns out that they have a house rule on this server, and it's every server. They were all like this. They were all like this, every single one. It's not that it was most of them. It's not that it was the top servers. It's not that it was the most popular ones. It was all of them. It was every single one. Yeah, and everybody, exactly. And like in TF2 and like the Half-Life based games, it was worse than in probably some other games on other engines, because thanks to a quirk of the way that Valve designed that engine and its network protocol, there was this thing called admin mod that started on the Gold Source engine and then got moved forward onto the Source engine, I believe. And admin mod worked by it was a hook, it was a DLL hook that live edited the network protocol. Right. Yeah, the house rules may not even fucking be in the wall of rules. You're just supposed to know, right? Because ultimately when it comes down to it, community servers are clubhouses for a bunch of dudes you don't know. And so the thing that people are always like, oh, I remember the days back when it was all community servers. And then what they describe is a Cheers situation. I fucking hate this map. I'm gonna drop and rematch, maybe switch modes. What they're describing is a Cheers situation where the thing that they like is that Norm is always there. And the trouble is that if you don't know Norm, if you're not friends with Norm, that's not exciting. That's intimidating. Like, you don't want to go to the place where everybody is expected to know your name, or otherwise, what are you doing here, right? And that's what it was. Like, to me, all those servers were just various bars with different groups of bros hanging out in them, and you could tell who the norms were. Because they would have badges in their names, and yeah, they would be glowing and all this shit, because admin mod worked by live editing the network protocol, so it was actually like hacking the packets the server was sending. And so whenever the server would tell a client, there's a player at this location with such and such model and such skin, admin mod was able to inject itself in there and say, oh, and the model also has this shader applied and this visual effect applied. But there was a limited palette of things you could do based on what was already in the engine. You couldn't add any new code. And so admin mod servers would just be, and I'm going to use the term that we used back in the day, because it's biblically accurate to this is the historical truth of the matter. The servers were all gayed up with this stuff. That's what we all said about it. And because it was always a bunch of like rainbowy fucking glowing, objects everywhere, and all this like froofy bullshit that you couldn't really fucking tell what was going on. It was incredibly intimidating. You didn't know what the significance of, like, oh, this guy has like a glowing present spinning, hovering above his head. What is that? I don't know what that means. And so and it's not the game. That's the thing, right? Is you're not playing TF2 at this point. You're playing, Fragdoor's House of Frags Team Fortress, right? It's their special flavor of it. It's not what you wanted to play. You just wanted to play the game that you bought from Valve, right? But you buy the game and you very quickly find out that it doesn't exist anymore. That no one is willing to play that game. I remember, again, there was a Penny Arcade about this one as well, it was about one of the Splinter Cell games, where every single fucking match that he got into, somebody was trying to Calvin ball it. Every match he got into, they're like, no, we're not playing Capture the Flag, we're playing tag. And he's like, okay. Shoots him in the face. You're it. But apparently this was a huge problem, that there was a bunch of people playing these games who for some reason just decided that they weren't going to play the game that was mutually agreed upon, but were going to impose the game they wanted to play on you. And so everything that's going on with all of this is a reaction to that nightmare, which excluded way more people than it included. If you want to play Battlefield 6, the only thing you need to do is to play the game that you bought. Now, if you wish that was a different game, that's a bummer, but this is what the game looks like for everybody. It's the same experience for every single person. It is completely consistent, and everybody can have access to it for the low price of just participating in the requirements that the game officially establishes. All the rules of this game are defined by EA, not by some fucking dude you don't know. And so, if you are happy with what this game is meant to be, then it's going to be the same experience on every server as long as the game exists. And that, I think, ends up making it more fun for more people than the alternative would be. Because I saw the alternative and it sucked. It is the case that, like, for me, pardon me, there are a number of reasons that I'm okay at this game, and a lot of them come down to the fact that I wasn't okay at these games when I was a kid, and I never got over it. I've always been a little mad about the fact that I never figured it out, and I always just got my ass, kicked in every single one of them. And we can maybe have both, but I don't see how to achieve it. The matchmaking system ensures that because I mean, okay, so this game has community servers, and they're all a fuckfest. Like, oh, sorry, God, I guess maybe you don't know that yet. This game has community servers, and they're all the thing I said. Every single one of them is running some fucked up weird mod, and you get into most of them, and like, there's no game going on that makes any sense to you. It's all inscrutable nonsense. So, there you go. There's your community servers. It's the same as it ever was. It's just the same shit. I don't see a solution to it because you can't mandate, okay, everybody play by the rules and don't get too mean. You can't do that. It's impossible. At that point, you're running an after-school program, and who's going to get paid to moderate it, right? Because that's the only way it's going to work is if you got people there 24/7, making sure that everyone is nice to each other. Your alternative is that you and the boys get together to play the game privately, and the trouble is, that's not applicable for a game of this type. It takes 64 people. You can't get 64 people to all agree to be at the same place at the same time and all be nice to each other. And besides that, you just can't get 64 people to agree to be nice to each other at all. Look at anyone running a public Discord, no matter how closely knit it is. If it's more than about 4 people, they all end up having fucking schisms anyway. And so, you know, I mean, to wit, you wouldn't put me in your group. Or if you did, you'd regret it, you know, because I'm not interested in playing the game, you know, super casually. So I may be more or less nice for values of nice. I may be nicer than the, you know, try-hard assholes, if you will, but I'm still not going to play the game the way you want me to. And so the question becomes, can you scrape up enough people to make a decent fucking game of this scale who are willing to play it the way you'd like it played? And I think the answer is no, for the same reason I gave earlier, that if they cared that much, they'd probably care that much. I mean, what I'm saying is that, like, I'm saying that we do have that in this game. You can play Calvin Ball or Matchmake. The problem is that the Calvin Ball servers are all gibberish. And so it doesn't actually represent the middle ground that we would like. Like, I don't think the community servers are good. I don't think that anybody ever wanted Calvin Ball other than a very small group of weirdos. Like, those servers were bizarre, and like, I don't... The issue we were talking about earlier is the fact that in order to play this game in the matchmaking system, you have to get good. And if you don't want to put 100 hours into it minimum to get good, then you're excluded from the game because you're inevitably going to be playing against people who are vastly better than you. And that's the thing that I'm saying we don't have a solution to. The thing that always gets proposed is community servers. And my answer is, here's community servers, they're a disaster. And they're always going to be a disaster. Yeah, sorry, I just suddenly realized, I looked at your name again, and I'm like, oh shit, you weren't over there earlier. Oopsie. You weren't here earlier when I was talking about that. My bad. And so that's the other thing, right? Is I do think the problem with this game is that the problem with this game that is indisputable is that the community servers are not community servers. What they actually are, and this is universal these days, but it still is unfortunate, right? What they actually are okay. So you can set up a, quote, community server, and what that really is a set of presets for the matchmaking system. There is no way in this game to well, you can't own the server yourself, right? That's one thing. The server is always run in the cloud by EA. So that's the primary problem, right? Is that when they decide that BF6 is over, you will no longer be able to play BF6. End of discussion. There is no way to run your own server. That I will sign my name to. That's bullshit and should just be illegal. I agree with the people who say that should literally be illegal. I understand that is a huge logistical nightmare to implement that law. I don't fucking care. we have smaller problems. Like, that is something we can solve. Figure it out. I don't care what it takes. Like, this is a luxury. This is a luxury field. This is a luxury market. The whole point is that you're paying for whatever, for what you want, right? So if that's what we're doing, we're not talking about a basic essential need here, okay? We don't need to talk about, what can reasonably be delivered. Let's talk about, what do we want out of this? What do we want this industry to do for us? Because that is the relationship here. It is people with money. It is the wealthy. No matter how little wealth you have, you are still a person spending disposable income on entertainment and luxury. And so that is the relationship we have here. So I don't mind saying that, fuck you, I want to keep my game forever. I should be able to play this in 20 years. But this is a separate issue. The other problem is that what the community server thing in its current state is actually doing is basically modulating the matchmaking system plus, and this is the part I'm a little vague on, there is some sort of mod system that I don't fully understand. Like, I need to take a closer look at it, because people are obviously able to... I loaded up a community server which was called flight training, and by the way, about 95% of the community servers are flight training. Almost all of them are just about how to fly planes and helicopters, and that's all they're there for, is just practicing those. Because of course, there's only like, when you get into a map that has planes and helicopters, there's only like 2 or 3. It's more than just custom map rules. I'm getting to that. There is more to it. In the most basic form, a quote community server can be, okay, you favorite this, and then every time that you want to play against, you want to play on this map with like weapon restrictions, then you can pick that quote unquote server. That seems to be how it works. I had read a little bit about it when it was pre-release, and that seemed to be what they were describing. But then on the other side, I joined one of these flight training servers, and it was it spawned me into a hangar with the 3 different types of jet in it, and then instead of I didn't get to pick a class. Instead, I had to flip back and forth and pick the plane that I wanted. And then when I selected it, it spawned me into it on a runway, and I took off and flew through this whole convoluted. If you ever played X-Wing or TIE Fighter, it looked exactly like the training missions from that, where you got to fly through all these weird little trapezoidal doorways, weird little trapezoidal gates. And you get, a little bing every time you get through one. And it was a completely custom map. So it was made out of, it looked like it was made out of standard assets from the game, but it's obvious that there is a map editor for this. Now, I don't know that anyone's going to do anything nearly as interesting as what they did in classic games, where you just had a .bsp file, but the point is, it sure looks like it's possible to mod the shit out of this game. I didn't see custom models yet, but I did see custom scripting in a totally custom map. So I admit, I had heard during the end of the beta phase, EA had announced that they were going, or I guess it was DICE, right? Had announced that they were going to add a mod system, and I said to myself, that is going to be nothing more than a way to perturb the matchmaking system and a few tweaks for basic gameplay rules. And that's not what they delivered. I'm not sure what they delivered, but it sure looks like a complete suite of modding tools. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see how that truly works. And again, it's a little disappointing because, I went and took a look. I flipped through the community server browser, and it looked like it was just everybody doing the same dumb thing. And they were all vehicle maps, every single one. So I thought, wow, what a wasted feature. But you know what? The game is new. So maybe in a couple of months, there's going to be some really wild shit happening in the community server. And was that guy named Tired Musty Queer, but with a G so he wouldn't get censored? Is that what I saw? Or was that a slur that I don't know about? Where is that guy? Let me see him. Well, and okay, so I assume there are microtransactions and that you can pay to win in this game because, well, so one thing I'll say is that the rank system involves, like, as you rank up, as you play the game and win matches and rank up, you do unlock weapons, and those weapons I would say are objectively better. Like, they're not cosmetic. So I think that the more you play, the easier it gets to win more. And so, like, obviously that's problematic. But the trouble, one of the reasons that matchmaking is so essential for that system to work is that obviously if you have true private servers, you know, you can just spawn. You could just jump in there with you can just jump in there with, you know, a bunch of bots or like 3 other logged in accounts that are not actually doing anything, and just have them stand there while you kill them over and over, win the mission, and then rank up. And now you get to go and use that rank to ruin people's lives on the real servers, right? So, like, obviously, at a minimum, you would have to have, you know, private servers would have to have rank benefits turned off completely. And I do recall that being a thing in... Have a good night, Ibanez Mike. I remember that being a thing when in one of these... I can't remember... Oh, sorry, no, it's CS. It's CS2/CSGO. If you're playing CSGO, you can play on community servers, but it tells you that it won't count for the purposes of you know, the leaderboards, right? And so that's just obvious, right? So that was interesting. But I will say, I think, however, that one thing you have to consider is that what if you ever want to play on ranked servers? Because if you hang out on community servers a bunch, then there's got to be a part of you that's sitting there going, I'm spending all this time, I'm putting in all this effort, and I'm not getting anything for it. This is something that I've observed personally as my income has gone up. That it's really easy to say, oh, I could do without blah when you don't have blah. And then once you get it and your brain goes, oh, I'm entitled to this now, it gets really hard to turn it down. And so I think there's probably a phenomenon of... That's interesting. I wonder, what are we getting shot at with that has that many missiles? I wonder if that was a plane. I didn't get really planes on this map. I didn't hear them anyway. Oh, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Have a good night. God. Yeah, and that's the other thing, right? God, let's not even talk about cheating, eh? Because I think that this is another thing where I'm just kind of very Emperor no clothes esque about it, right? I see a lot of people complaining about kernel level anti-cheat. I'm just like, what do you want here? What outcome do you want? Because this is an arms race and we're losing. Like, have you ever played a game without anti-cheat? I have. I think people do not understand what they're up against here, and the thing is, it's one of those things where, like, if you apply the language of justice to it, then it sounds much worse than it is. But we're not talking about the cops and real crime here. We're talking about funny money, you know, in a video game. So nobody is being denied any basic rights and you know, etc. So kernel level anti-cheat and similar things sound completely absurd, but if you play a game that doesn't have them, you find out that it's just 100% aimbots. 100%. This isn't an exaggeration. You get into a server and there's simply nobody on there who isn't aimbotting. It is that bad. I remember experiencing this on a lot of games back in the day, and there was a couple of times where I've played games in more recent years that had the option to play without anti-cheat. So I'm like, oh yeah, let's check this out. You get into a map. If you step out of cover, you instantly see, you know, you die, and then see like 3 bullet holes from other angles land next to you. Like, the whole server is aimbots. You can't do anything. It's that bad. And it's just one of these things where I don't know what people want here. What are they like? They want the game to be cheater free, but the cheaters have invested a really kind of shocking amount of money and resources into cheating. Like, this is an actual honest to God like NetSec arms race where like the people on the bad guys here are somewhere above. You know, in the in like the NetSec threat assessment, there's different tiers of attacker, and it's unfunded and barely motivated versus highly motivated but not terribly funded versus motivated and funded versus state level actor. Essentially unlimited motivation, unlimited funding, and each one of these is a vastly different threat surface area. Like, it is tremendously different, right? And so, yeah, my understanding is that the cheaters are buying these things, and so there is an industry that is developing expensive and incredibly effective cheats that you can buy very cheaply, and it is happening. It is not a theory. It is a thing that is happening in enormous quantity very fast all the time. And so, yeah, if you look at, like, PUBG started... I thought it was amazing when PUBG started releasing the name and shame lists, where they're just like, yeah, here's the 35,000 cheaters that we banned this week, and here's all their names. And what else can they do? Because it's not ending. And I have to admit, I have never looked into this to find out if anybody knows why it is done. You know, I don't know. I know that there are... People have these sort of knee-jerk... well, I know what's going on here, explanations for things that are... I don't let myself put stock in that kind of, reductive, I think they're just doing it because blah. There's always stuff going on in the world that I don't know about, and an awful lot of the time, the answer comes out to being somebody with no other prospects for financial success, or employment, has found a way to make money doing this. And that changes the math, both from like a moral, ethical standpoint and like in terms of understanding the what we're up against, as it were, right? And so, the point is, like, I don't want to jump to any conclusions about why people do this, but if it's not for that reason, I can't think what it is, because, I don't know. It seems like it would not be fulfilling to cheat for the hell of it, right? But I don't know. Maybe other people just got broken brains in ways I can't comprehend. In any case, though, it is a very real, very big problem, and this is the only thing that works. Like, we are way past the point where there are alternatives. This is how they have to do it. And yeah, that's the other thing. Like, eventually, you're going to, yeah, in some games, it is definitely because people are. In some games, it's definitely because people are selling hats, right? That's a given. But it seems to happen in every single game, and I don't know if they all have internal economies. Maybe that's the case. Maybe it is the case that this would all stop if these companies would just stop selling funny money. But I mean, I guess I'll say this. I think the question we have to ask is, what is the proportion of people who are doing it because they're making money off of it? Because if that is the case, then you can guess that it's 99.9% of the people who are doing it, right? Like, that's the thing, is if there's a profit motive there, then that's what changes it from, this is a thing that we see occasionally, to, this is a scourge rendering all games unplayable unless we use draconian, police state grade measures to prevent them. Honestly, I feel like probably the fact that this is the point that we've gotten, that this is how hot this war has gotten, suggests that it's money. It's about the money. I think it probably is. And so I think the difference with Halo 2, and I don't know for sure, but Halo 2 that's from what, like 2004? Something like that. That was a point where, because here's the thing, we had non-invasive anti-cheat for a long time, stuff that isn't nearly as terrifying and demanding as what they're using now, and it was pretty effective. But that was developed in the late 2000s. You know, I think your punk busters and whatnot are a lot less aggressive than what they're doing now, and we're less prone to false positives, and we're also just less terrifying in how much information they were demanding from you. People were still mad about them, but the point is that, like, I think there are degrees here, but at this point, it's not a matter of degrees. If a game does not have this level of anti-cheat, it's going to be fucking unplayable, right? Well, I think that Halo probably had no anti-cheat at all. Like, probably none. Because, come on, you know, like, it was a different time. The stakes were lower. Plus, I guess one question, are we talking about the PC version? I don't even know if there is a PC version. Are we talking about the PC version of the game? Because I assume nobody had cheats for the console version, but I don't even know anymore, right? PC, okay. Because, yeah, I assume we're talking about... PC Halo here.
I knew you had my back.
Again, you know, this is an ass pull. I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I would be shocked if the same amount of effort was put into the PC version as the console version. Right? That was probably very much a, oh, and we have this too, sort of thing. And, you know, once the game came out, how much budget was going to be assigned to keeping the multiplayer on that version running that well? I could believe that they just didn't really do much about it, or didn't know what to do about it, but now ain't then, right? So I think the stakes have changed. I think the knowledge has changed. I think the techniques have changed. And so it was probably very, very easy to cheat back then, because there really just wasn't anything stopping you. Whereas now, even a token effort would probably go a long way towards eliminating a lot of the casuals, you know? And I mean, when we talk about, you know, intrusive anti-cheat, so what I remember of cheating, because I never ran, listen, I had an aimbot, but I never inhaled, all right? But no, I never actually ran any of them, but I do remember people, like, describing aimbots that they had and how they worked, and, you know, where they came from and whatnot. And my understanding back in the day, in like the Half-Life era, you know, Source era of this, is that these things were... Sorry, gotta concentrate. I gotta defend this point so we can blow up this explosive, or we'll... there we go. Outstanding. Sorry, I'm playing a new game mode here. I should probably explain how it works. Basically, in this mode, we're on the attacking side. Then there's a defending side. The attackers have a limited number of lives, while the defenders have unlimited lives. And the goal here is that, as the attackers, we have to essentially plant a bomb. It's actually a bomb that's already there. They call it the MCOM. Or no, I'm sorry. I think the MCOM is supposed to be like some sort of like radio node or something like that, and we're trying to blow it up. So we have to go in, plant a bomb on the MCOM, and then not let it get disarmed for like 20 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. And if we succeed, then we blow it up, and then the battle line moves forward, and we have to do it on the next one. So right now we're on A and we're on B here, and if we can blow up B successfully, then we get to move forward and we get a new A and B. And if we keep doing that, then eventually we take over the whole map.
I need a fucking medic!
So, of course, the enemy can disarm it, and if I remember correctly, there's different timers so that the arming and disarming take different amounts of time. So I think it's easier to push back than it is to. It's easier to disarm than to arm, I want to say, and so that creates a natural asymmetry to the mode, which is true of almost all the game modes in this game. By the way, I think it's really interesting where. Like they've taken the Counter-Strike concept of the terrorists have different goals than the counter-terrorists in Counter-Strike. This is like that, except that when it comes down to it, in Counter-Strike, either side can win by simply killing everybody on the other side, right? In this one, there are a number of game modes where that's not true. If we were to just kill the enemy, we wouldn't win. So it's sort of like baseball. This is something I think about a lot. I think it's fascinating that baseball has two different game flavors, and in one of them you cannot win. You can only not lose, right? When you're on defense, you play a whole half inning where there is no possibility for your team to score points. The only thing you're trying to do is to keep the other team from scoring points, right? And I didn't know much about baseball until a couple of years ago, partly due to John Boyce, partly due to other personal reasons. But I finally decided to learn the basics and whatnot. And I'm still sort of astonished by that fact. The fact that the game is so asymmetric in nature. Oh, there we go. We did it. And so this is the baseball concept, right? Where in most of the game modes, the two sides do not actually want the same thing. If you're on defense, you're not just trying to hold a point. You're trying to hold a point against very different odds with very different rules. You're not just the red team and the blue team. You are the funded state military and the unfunded terrorist / paramilitary planting IEDs and using black market RPG-7s, right? That greatly alters the nature, and your goals, of course, are one side wants to blow up the building, one side does not want to blow up the building. And the thing about that is that once it's done and can't be undone. And so you can't push back and forth. Once we push forward, that's it. We've permanently moved forward. And this, by the way, brings me to an observation I had on football. Because I was thinking the other day about why it is that baseball has such low scores, and why it's so easy for a game to go, all the way through and nobody scores. And it's because every single play you reset the state of the game. Every single time you attempt to hit the ball, regardless of the outcome, at the end you reset everything except the position of the runners on the bases. And even that gets reset by ending the inning, right? And so there's a lot of ways that the team that's on defense can reset the team that's batting back to where they started. And so because it's a game where the defense winning does not mean they score, and because the game is, I'm not going to say unfairly slanted towards the defense, but I you could think of it that way at times. The game is just designed around getting knocked back, making progress and then losing that progress. Whereas you look at something like football, well, you look at football specifically, once you move the ball down the field, it stays there until it gets moved back. And so it is possible to very slowly inch the ball down the field and eventually get it where you want it through a series of ridiculous-looking plays, because you don't get reset, at least until the clock runs out. And so this game is interesting because it has football modes and baseball modes. There's some where you can win by attrition. There's some where you can win by the skin of your teeth, just like barely getting a win in. If you're on the last fucking millisecond of the MCOM detonation timer, and somebody manages to disarm it in time, that's it. It's over. But if you get that in, it's locked in. The other team can't take it back. Now, they can get real fucking mad and keep you from taking the next one, right? And that is what happens. A lot of the time, what I've observed in this mode is that so two things. First off, the game isn't consistent. It's not the same from checkpoint to checkpoint. When you capture the first MCOM, you're fighting in these little huts in a little village, and it's got a lot of tight in. You've got these little rooms and windows you can fire out of, and you've got fucking streets you can hide in and whatnot. But here, we're fighting in the open. This is a completely different battle. And so, because we won the first two battles, we've actually been placed at a disadvantage. It is now harder for us to move forward, right? The enemy team actually has been given an advantage that only applies if we first win twice. And I think that is a fascinating way of doing it, because it sets you up in a number of ways for the back of the game to be vastly different than the front. And indeed, that's what's happening here. We were doing pretty well, and now we've pushed to the back half, and we're just getting slaughtered. And part of that is because pardon me. Part of that is because the nature of the terrain has changed. But the other reason, which we can't know for sure without interviewing every single one of the players on the other team, but we can probably guess. Another thing that's changed is that the enemy team is mad, or at least desperate, right? If they're invested enough to have played to this point and to, have the rank that they do in order to be playing at my level, so that we got match made together, then probably they would like to win, and they're not necessarily going to be furious if they don't. But it is the thing they want to do right now, right? However seriously they take this in an emotional sense, they're feeling the pressure. And so they realize, God damn it, we let them take the first two goals. If we don't do something, then we're going to lose this one, and it'll be our fucking fault because we let them take those. And yeah, your blood pressure goes up a bit, right? And indeed, yeah, they're pushing back real hard. We're actually, we're losing.
We need attack support on the marked objective.
So I assume DICE is still the company, still the studio making this. I think they really figured it out. I think they figured out a lot of cool ideas for this. I mean, I don't think they're new. I think the series had them back in 4. From what I've told about some of these things, or at the least maybe 5. So I don't know how much of this is actually new to this game, but I just think it's cool. And yeah, so the problem with script kiddies, right, is that by nature they're buying their cheats. So all it means is that the people developing the cheats have to figure out how to make a $20 script that still does the thing, right? And so again, it's the nature of an arms race. An arms race isn't necessarily and probably isn't ever really about one simple question: how do we make a stronger gun? How do we make a bigger bomb? How do we make we think of it in terms of I was thinking about this the other day. If you're a soldier in a modern war like these guys, you go into battle, maybe you've got a flak jacket on, maybe you've got, some kind of body armor, maybe you got a helmet, but chances are, if you get shot in the head, you're fucking dead, right? You've got that helmet, but it's mostly about shrapnel and ricochets and really far off shots that weren't even intended for you and that sort of shit. This is not really meant to protect you from a direct killing blow. And so you think to yourself, well, why don't they make the helmets thicker? And the answer is, if you made the helmet thicker, it would be heavier, and then the enemy would make a bigger bullet. They would just make a bigger bullet because it moves the goalposts, right? All that does is it changes the terms from, okay, we have to make a bullet that can penetrate human flesh, to we have to make one that can penetrate an eighth of an inch of steel, and then human flesh. And now you go back to the lab and you work on that until you figure it out. And this is over the course of, it's over the course of however much time you need. Is it months? Is it years? Well, sooner or later you're going to win. And if it's possible, sooner or later you're going to win. And so that's the problem with an arms race, is that if one side comes up with an incredibly strong helmet, then the other side is going to come up with an incredibly big bullet. And so it's sort of, I mean, the best example, of course, is the nuclear bomb, right? The only thing we could come up with that can stop a nuclear bomb is a bigger nuclear bomb that fires faster and gets there first and makes a bigger explosion, right? That's our view on it. And so what happened when we developed that is, instead of giving us, instead of giving us the ability to win any war immediately just by threatening to use the thing, all it did was ensure they looked at each other and said, well, we have to do something about this. And that was the only something that could happen. And so all it did was make even bigger nukes, and now a whole lot more people have them. But the same is true for any form of arms race. Anytime you have a huge advancement in one side, it's going to result in an equally big advance in the other side. And so if there's a huge risk to bringing your A game with this stuff, right?
Objective Bravo.
Yeah, and exactly. And a heavier helmet causes other problems. And so, you look at this and you think, who the hell could ever convince themselves to walk into a war zone wearing nothing but a thin little piece of metal on their head, right? I could never do that. Knowing that if someone points the fucking crosshairs at my head and pulls the trigger, I'm dead. That's it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's prescribed. It's happening, right? That seems terrifying. And so in your feelings, you think to yourself, well then, how can there be a war? How could you get anybody to do that? And the answer is, it's survivorship bias, basically. The people who do it are the ones who didn't react like that. And it turns out that statistically, you can assemble a pretty big group of people who are willing to do that. You're not seeing all the ones who said, fuck that, I won't go, Of course, this is not applicable, during when there's conscription going on, but you know what I'm saying, right? And so, if you say, well, oh, hey, excellent.
We destroyed Alpha. Good work.
The problem with, I don't even know if the cat jam will work right now. I'm not sure it's in the right spot you can press it, I suppose. So the problem with kernel level anti-cheat is that, oh god damn it, that guy almost had me. The problem with kernel level anti-cheat is, of course, the risk that it's just going to result in some really amazing exploits that we don't have an answer to. Because once they've compromised the kernel to the point where our own kernel modules can't detect it, what's the next layer? Hypervisor anti-cheat? And unfortunately, I've just told you what the next layer is, because Windows does have hypervisor-based security. Right now, you do not need to use it.
Your lifesaver!
And there are reasons to not use it, and I'm not using it because it was causing specific problems for me. But I can believe in a world, I can believe in a future where things are so bad that in order, like, people are mad about, oh, there's kernel level anti-cheat, and I'm saying I can believe in a future where the only way you're allowed to play Battlefield 7 is if you're running your whole fucking OS in a VM, so that the hypervisor can be validated. That's real. That's going to happen. It's already happening. That's like that is what hypervisor-based security is. It's just right now I don't think that it's available to this sort of customer. I think Microsoft themselves are using it, but I don't think it's available for this sort of application, but it will be. And when that happens, it'll be yet one more thing that you've got to do. But here's the thing, and this is how I think about it. Getting mad about that is sort of like getting mad about that, I think, is sort of like getting mad about you go to the track to race your car and find out that they mandate a helmet. It's like, come on, this is what you're doing right now, all right? Commit to the bit. this is how the game is played, right? And everybody has to play by the same rules. And some of those rules, you might think to yourself they're not, that one's not for me, but everybody has to play by the same rules or there's no rules. It's not malicious. EA is trying to help everybody here. It just there could be something to the idea that eventually it will be simply impossible to build an anti-cheat system that works, because it is possible for an arms race to be won. But then I don't know what happens, right? I don't know what happens at that point, because obviously we don't want to just not have games anymore. And obviously we don't want it to be, by invite only. But at the same time, what are they supposed to do? Because it wasn't working. What we were doing wasn't working. Games were, in fact, completely fucked with cheaters. So I don't know what to do. I mean, I'll give you the same answer I always have, which is if you want scammers to stop calling you, then improve the economic conditions of the people in the countries where 95% of this is coming from, who are doing it because they don't have a choice, right? That'll fix it. That's your actual solution. I mean, I think a lot of stuff that we complain about very much is the case of whose grenade? Oh, well, now I know whose grenade that was. I think an awful lot of the problems that we have, that people love to invent little stories about why they're happening, I think come down to the phrase I saw in a fucking, it was a family circle or something like that my mom used to have stuck to the fridge, that said, trying to clean the house when the kids are awake is like trying to brush your teeth while eating an Oreo. I always think about this. We're trying to quote unquote fix the problems while we are deeply mired inside of the problems. Like, it's like trying to wash yourself when you're standing in fucking sewage, right? Like, it's never going to work. You can scrub and scrub as much as you want, and then a new wave is just going to wash over you, because the problem is that people are fucking broke and hopeless. And, that's not going to go away no matter, you push back, you make a new protection, you make a new, anti this or anti that, you make a new do not call list, you make a new spam filter, and then you got a person sitting there going, well, shit, I'm fucked, I don't have any income now. Are they just going to go, okay, that sucks, I guess I lose? No, because now they have nothing else to do better than sit there and try and figure out a way to do it anyway. And they're going to sit there and think 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 until they find a way. And there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people doing that thinking, and one of them is going to succeed sooner or later. And then what are you going to do? Another spam filter, another this, another that. Same thing you did before, but more. It didn't work the last time. It's not going to work this time. And I think the condition that would solve, again, we discussed this earlier. I think an enormous amount of multiplayer cheating is people. Oh, hang on a second. Oh, did we lose the baseball? It sounds like we lost the baseball game. The theory that I think we're running on here is the idea that most people who are cheating in these games are doing it so they can sell hats. It's because of the fucking internal economy of this shit. And so, dollars to donuts. It's not people doing it because they want a few extra bucks. It's people doing it because they cannot get another job, which is overwhelmingly the case. It's why I find all those scamming the scammer YouTube videos fucking disgusting. I find that shit revolting, because like, oh, wow, yeah, you sure owned that guy with 0 prospects in a nation where the average pay is less than I make in an hour. Wow, man, you really really struck back for the good guys. It's one thing to be frustrated with somebody who by nature of things that are out of both of your control, right? They can't fix it, and you personally can't fix it, right? Of course you're going to be mad at somebody who has wronged you, even if they have a very good reason for it, because come on. But it's another thing entirely to turn that into entertainment at the expense of a person who is in a vastly worse situation. I think that's beyond gauche. I find that shit disgusting. And again, it's one of those things where, like, I have friends who watch these videos, and I only judge them a little bit for it. You know, it's the same as going into Chick-fil-A. Yes, they want to have me and all my friends killed, but whatever. Like, your consumption of it is not... What goes into a man's mouth does not defile him. It is what comes out. That is what defileth him. All right? I think the Bible had a good take on that one. Watch whatever you want. But if you ask me, I'm going to tell you that shit's disgusting. I think it's fucked up to be amused by somebody else's fucking misery like that. It's just... Yeah. I think an enormous amount of all the stuff that we're mad about on the internet is coming from people who are just broke as fuck and have no options and are being exploited by people just as much as anybody else, right? Because I don't think anybody's doing this of their own volition. It's not, well, I'm broke and I have no prospects, so I'm going to start scamming people. It's, I saw a fucking phone number posted on a phone pole that said, you know, work from home, you know, make money, and it turns out they're running a fucking scam call center, and like at that point I could walk away, but I'm desperate, etc., etc. You know, I don't think there's any mustache twirling fucking villains doing the calling. And so the people that are getting burned here are, of course, as usual, not the people responsible. It's always the way it goes. You know, it's the same shit as people getting mad at fucking retail workers when it's very obviously the corporation responsible for whatever they're mad about. You know? Come on, have some fucking cognizance of how the world works. Yeah, the building destruction was really good. There's a dude up there. Oh, shit, I saw him. One thing I've learned in this game is if you start firing at somebody and you kill them, don't stop firing. Keep firing. Because there's a really good chance that they have a buddy standing behind them that's all raring to go to come in and take vengeance on your ass. And there's a good chance they'll just run straight into your cone of fire and just get zorched. Right? So that's good. And then another thing I've learned is if you saw them and then they ducked out of the way, keep firing, because it might be they're about to juke back out and try and take a pot shot at you, right? So I've gotten an enormous number of kills in this game by just opening up and just leaning on the trigger, regardless of whether I saw a guy or not. Because, yeah, an awful lot of the time, they'll walk themselves into your fucking bullets. It's hilarious. I too, obviously, do this very frequently, right? It's just the way the game is played. But, yeah, it's a good strat. I like it. By the way, I mentioned this earlier, but this is yet another variation on this map that I've never seen before. I've played several hundred rounds of this game, and I've never seen this map before. Like, I've seen the overall map, but not this variation on it.
Medic!
Thank you. Another thing I should really learn to be better about is when I get rezzed and I was in the middle of firing when I got knocked down, don't stand back up until I fucking reload. Oh God! Oh no! Covered. Can I? I wonder if I can bring that building down. Oh, part of it. See, as I was explaining earlier, the end of the end of the enemy zone is right there, so I can't go through this window. Otherwise, we could flank them. But I have not played the single-player campaign. I have heard nothing good about it. I have heard it is putrid. I can't remember who told me that, but yeah, I've heard it's just not very good. Not sure why. I think I heard that the lore, that the story was terrible. I glanced at it on the menu, and it sounded like it was some VR missions bullshit. Oh! You know, that's another thing is, it's been a long time since I engaged this much with a competitive multiplayer shooter. I used to play them a lot more when I was younger, and I was much worse at them. This is the first time that I've been... Part of why I clicked with this game so much and, is that I realized I was capable of being pretty decent at it on my better days. Oops, gets marked. It has been interesting that because I'm not, 22 anymore. Oh wait. Shit.
I need a fucking medic!
Because I'm not 22 anymore, I do tend to be a little more empathetic to the people that I'm playing with. And so I have actually, yeah, as Navjack was saying, I have actually applied a lot of psychology to how I play this, realizing that, yeah, if I was in that guy's position, I would do X, And, oh, that's what I was going to say. That's right. I remember I had a very long, I had a shaggy dog thought earlier that I never quite finished, and it was this, that when I first started playing the game, it seemed like I was getting matched against, I was getting into these matches between really poorly matched teams, where one team would just be vastly better than the other skill-wise, and so every time I played, it would be just a,
Thank you.
they'd win or we would win by an enormous margin. And then as I, continued to play the game, they started being much better matched. And so we had a lot more times where, like, one side, like, either we'd both be draining tickets at the same rate, or one side would drain them way down, and then we'd recover and manage to turn the match around, like what happened earlier. I had one last night that was like 12-4 at the end of the match, so we barely pulled it off. And so, again, I think this is just because as you play with the ranking system, you get matched against people that are genuinely matched rather than just being unknowns, right? Well, what I kept thinking, though, in those early games was, man, what does it feel like to be the team that's just getting completely rained on? Just taken to the cleaners, because I never seemed to be on that side. When my team was losing, it always seemed to be a sort of a soft kind of... like, we weren't making progress, but it didn't feel like we were just like they were just wiping the floor with us, right? But then I would play matches where I was on the winning side, and I'm just sitting here going like, God, they're not getting a single kill. We're just keel hauling them. Holy hell. And I felt bad about it. I always thought, like, what do they feel like when this is going on? Not that, come on, like, we're here to... This is what they're here for, right? We're all here to play the game. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. But I always thought, like, man... Oh, wait, are we going to capture this territory?
All right, objective Bravo has been secured.
Okay, it's a breakthrough team. I don't remember which game mode we were playing. And then, yeah, like I said, since I started moving up in the ranks, that just hasn't really happened anymore. I haven't seen a lot of matches where we just completely eviscerated the other team and they never had a chance. But I did think it was weird that I just never seemed to experience that. I mean, it's not like, oh no, I'm too good for that, because it would be the whole team, right? I just never seemed to be on the team that was losing that hard. I don't know. Maybe I was always carrying. Oh, you think it's a controller thing? You think it's that I always seem to be on the PC side? I don't know. At least half this match is controllers. I think. At a glance, that's what it looks like. I do think it's fascinating that they show you the crossplay information in the leaderboard. That's a really interesting choice to do it that way. It's also cute because they don't show you ping by default. You can turn that on, but they don't have it on by default. So by default, you can see who's on console, but you can't see who's on or who's on dial-up. You know, well, not dial-up, but you get my meaning. And I don't know. It seems like more critical information at a glance. Like I don't even know why the crossplay info is there on the leaderboard, other than like for bro purposes. So like you kill somebody and then you can hit that while you're teabagging them and be like, console kitty. Yeah, my guess is that this game is probably pushing like 5 megabits of data in both directions. So yeah, I don't think you could play this on dial-up for a hot second. Yeah, I mean, seriously, like pretty much everything has crossplay these days. At least it seems that way to me. I think you could turn it off, which is really funny. Yeah, if you want to be a PC racist, which that would almost seem like a tasteless joke if that's not how what they had named their Reddit. If you want to be just like a PC bigot, there's a checkbox for that. You could choose, I do not wish to see or be seen by console losers. Which, again, I don't know what the benefit there is from a game design standpoint, why you would necessarily put that in unless somebody was worried about... I mean, if you're on the console and you're worried about mouse and keyboard people slaughtering you because you think the gamepads are inferior, which I personally think is the case, like, I think pretty solid ground, scientifically speaking, relative input versus an absolute input, just there's problems with it for this style of game. But if you do feel that way, then I can understand if you're playing on gamepad that you might not want to play against people on who can react faster, right? But the other way around, I don't think there's any PC gamers that are like, oh, I don't want to play against the console guys. they'll destroy me. But maybe the option's only there on console? No, it's there on here. Like, I swear, there's a crossplay on button in the menu when you're selecting a game. I'll check after this match. I'll see what I'll see if I remember correctly. Maybe it's just an indicator. Maybe it's crossplay on and you can't turn it off on PC. That would perhaps make more sense because again, I think I'm right here that the only reason that option exists is if you're worried about getting trashed by PC gamers. Because I don't see why else you would care, right? Maybe it's there so the PC gamers don't have to feel bad about stomping the console gamers. Oh, you can't turn it off. Huh. Interesting. Okay. Well, you know what? I had not thought of that. It looked like a button to me, so I thought you could toggle it.
Okay, we have secured objective.
I really need to bind my grenade to a mouse button because I keep having to reach over to G, and like most of the time I do okay, but sometimes I fuck up and swing my sledgehammer instead, and that's pretty embarrassing. That's a grenade. Oh, that's a baseball. Sniper Man 02. It's a really funny name given everything about it. Come on. Again, I really like the game's use of dust. Like the use of dust and debris and whatnot obscuring your vision is it's very frustrating in a way that I think is probably representative of real combat. If you have a lot of explosions going off, it's going to be hard as fuck to see anything, and yeah, I think it adds a lot to the game. Every single time it happens, I'm just like, oh, the fucking dust, god damn it. And then every time I'm just like, but this is what I paid for. This is what I signed up for. Now, I will say that every time somebody pops smoke in a tank or a smoke grenade, I'm like, fuck you, why'd you have to do that? Like, no, I know why you did it, but you see, it's not letting me shoot you, and it lasts a very long time. God, was it really Valve that that made volumetric smoke happen? I remember. God, I remember. So, Team Fortress 2 was going to be a very different game when it was first developed, and I had a copy of, I think it was PC Accelerator, with a hyper pre-release, because this was 1999, right? And TF2 I think came out in the 05, 06, something like that, maybe later. So this was like hyper pre-alpha stuff, and at the time I think it was still on Gold Source, you know, and whatnot. But at the time, I remember, and I don't know if it was in the context of that game or one coming out at around the same time, but I remember hearing that that some game was going to have a volumetric flamethrower where you'd fire it into a room and it would fill up the room. And I'm now trying to remember if that was supposed to be about one of the World War II games, because that seems a little more. But there's the pyro in Team Fortress, so that does make sense. So maybe it was in that, but yeah, I remember that they were talking about it all the way back then, and then I never saw it. Whatever, I remember being disappointed that it never seemed to materialize, at least anywhere that I was aware of. And oh, it's this fucking map. I'm probably gonna do this one and then bail. How long have I been streaming? It's been like 4 or 5 hours. Soldier of Fortune was part of... Soldier of Fortune was real fucking weird. That game was bizarre. That was a... What was that game based on? What engine was that? I want to say it was like... I want to say it was like Quake 2. It's cute because the... So I remember the second one. Soldier of Fortune 2 was Quake 3 based. And boy, did it have the stink. Oh, the guy bailed before my fucking rocket hit him. This game is so bullshit. I'm refunding. Soldier of Fortune 1 was a very weird game for a whole bunch of reasons. The second game was like pretty conventional. Like Soldier of Fortune 2, if you played it now, Quake 2 engine? Okay, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, yeah, it might have been World War II Online that had the volumetric flamethrower. That makes sense. Barracks here. Where the fuck is that tank? There, I see there's a machine gun over there. Oh, that's not the right direction. Whoa. God, was Soldier of Fortune 1 on the PS2? That seems hard to believe, but Soldier of Fortune PS2. Oh, wow. Yes, it was. And the Dreamcast! And it was also one of the very few games that came out that I think Loki ported to Linux. Boy, those were strange times. I think that company lasted like a year or two. Anyway, if you play Soldier of Fortune 2, it's just a damn video game. Like, it's a shoot man's. It's very straightforward. It don't look that much different from this with fewer polygons, right? And one of the things that I remember being not necessarily a selling point per se, but certainly notable, was the fact that every single gun in the game was named correctly. So the pistols were... So they had a Desert Eagle in the first game, but I think that they didn't give it the right name. I think it was just like 50 cal pistol. It was Greek. But also, I think they took it out for the second game and replaced it with, like, there was a 9mm pistol and there was a 45 pistol. But the 45 was an M1911A1, explicitly, right? It wasn't 45 cal pistol. And the same went for everything else. You know, you had the M3, the grease gun, you had a couple of sniper rifles. Every gun in the game was named. And at the time, this was still a big deal. This was circa 2001, I want to say. And the game did not have good gunplay in reality, but the fact that the guns looked so realistic and had the correct names was a big deal at that time. The first game, however, was very strange because things don't go CSB, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, everyone seems to be playing BF6. Unfortunately, it's good. There's not much we can do about it. The game is good. And also, as I was saying earlier, the entire experience of playing it is like being transported back to 2005. But anyway, yeah, so if you play the first Soldier of Fortune, the guns are all like arcade game guns. None of them look like real firearms. They're all like these blocky kind of like cartoonish analogs, and they don't fire the least bit like real, you know, like the video game depiction of guns, you know, that we're used to now do. So it's this very strange difference in tone, where the first game is just very very arcadey, and then the second one is far more realism coded, if you will. Like, it's not realistic, but it's coded more realistically. So it's not, you know, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And that's the other thing is, yeah, the Soldier of Fortune 1 guns were very chunky, and they're very
Okay, we have an enemy sniper located in the mission area.
they're very punchy. You know, you fire the pistol, it's just like bah, 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 bah. It's very unrealistic sounds, but they feel great, and the animations are equally silly but satisfying. So I always thought that game was fascinating. By the way, one of my favorite things about this game, and I don't know how much you've been able to hear it, because the radio, due to my current audio setup, the radio voiceover, it seems to be fucked up in some way. I'm not hearing most of it, I think. But, and I'm kind of, this is another mechanic in the game that I'm really curious about. I'm not exactly sure how it works. So sometimes a radio voice will say, sniper detected in your area, vehicle detected in your area, etc. Right? Now, I don't know if that's responding to pings, and I don't know if it's audible to the entire team. We did just hear one of them, but I haven't been hearing them for the most part. It's strange. However, my favorite one, hands down, which I have not heard all game, and it happened all the time in the beta, which was a couple months ago, but I haven't heard it in quite some time. I've only heard it once or twice since the game released. Is, okay, I'm tracking a big fucking tank in your area. Every time this happened, I lost my shit. Oh, that worked! Fuck yeah! Let's go! I blew the fucking oil tank up. Got his goofy ass. Oh. Oh. Yeah, I was wrong. Oh, I'm getting teabagged. Oh, delightful. I wonder if that's the guy who I CSB'd. Oh. Hash Brown, you got me? My man. Nope. Well, he was trying. Hash Brown is a fantastic fantastic nickname for a soldier.
Lifesaver.
The fucking drones, I'm telling you. So another thing that they toned down, another like very video game moment in this, the sniper scopes. So this is something I was talking about earlier. I'm going to do more meta commentary on war video games, okay? I know everyone's here for that. Oh, fuck yeah! I wasn't even sure if he was still there. Does the mod deuce tilts up? Not very much. So one of the biggest problems in multiplayer video games is the sniper rifle, right? This is not new ground. What do you do about snipers? They're just a problem, you know? Obviously, for the sniper rifle to be effective, it's got to be strong. You know, it's got to be quite powerful, and it's pretty much going to have to be capable of scoring a one-hit kill with a headshot, or why bother? You know, just nobody's going to want to bother with it if it can't do that. So, sniper rifles are always going to be deeply unfair because they're deeply unfair in the real world. Snipers suck. The entire back half of Full Metal Jacket is about this topic, right? The issue, and I was thinking, I found myself thinking about this yesterday, that, so I was in this building in the game, and I was looking out. I had used my sledgehammer to knock a hole in the wall, and on this particular occasion, damn it, on this particular occasion, the hole that it made was quite small. They're all predetermined, right? The building collapses are not scripted, but the areas that can collapse are all predefined, and so nobody's gonna get me. The areas that can collapse are all predefined. So sometimes when you use the sledgehammer to blow a hole in the wall, you get this great big gaping, it knocks out half the wall. And then other times it makes like a pretty comfortably tiny orifice, right? It's just, see, the sledgehammer is sort of one of the silliest items in this game because it does the same thing that a rocket would, but like, obviously that's stupid, right? And so it's always like this. So I had knocked out, I think, like one of these walls on the top floor. And so I had this little tiny hole, and I was poking my gun out through it. And I was thinking about how, wow, we're still using arrow slits, right? Arrow slits were invented millennia ago, and they're based around the very simple idea that if you put a little tiny slit in a wall that's angled on the inside so that it's tapered going towards the outside, then your archers will be able to hide inside, and they'll be able to tilt. They'll be able to angle from left to right, and get a very wide field of fire to attack lots of people. But those people, despite the fact that the archer has an enormous field of view and can see hundreds of soldiers, and every one of them, you know, as a target is the size of a whole ass human being. From the other end's perspective, that slit is a little tiny hole, barely visible, and they have to nail that little tiny hole in order to take out the archer. And so it's just intrinsically unfair, right? So the problem with snipers in video games is that obviously they're doing the same thing, right? They find a little niche that they can stuff themselves in, and you're not gonna be able to fucking see them, but they can see you, and from, you know, hundreds of yards away. So yeah, it's just it's really awkward. What do you do to keep this from just becoming utterly unfun? And there are some games, particularly older games, where they didn't do anything about this. There's no limits placed on snipers at all. And in those games, often every single game is just you step out in the open, you get shot. That's it. Why bother, right? This is sort of a thing of the past because they've placed limits on what snipers can do in newer games. But the way they did it in this, which you probably just saw, is that sniper scopes put off this great big unmissable flare that, you know, is supposed to represent the sun reflecting off the scope, and that is a real problem in the real world. But like, not like that, you know. This thing fills up a quarter of your fucking screen, and I think in the demo it was even worse. I seem, pardon me, I seem to recall that in the beta rather, that it was actually like egregious. I'm in the bathroom.
We're attacking objective Alpha.
I'm attacking objective Alpha by standing in the shitter. I can't open the door and get behind it, unfortunately. Actually, it's me.
Objective Alpha
safe.
neutralized.
Okay, we got it. Nice. The sniper scope glint is ridiculous. Every time you see it, you just instantly, invariably think like, oh, that's fucking dumb. Come on. But there is no better way to handle it. There's no better solution, because you can't make the snipers weak or nobody's going to want to play them. And for that matter, they won't be a threat, and they should be a threat. Snipers are a huge part of modern warfare. You can't take them out. And if they're going to be there at all, then they're going to be deeply unfair and unpleasant to fight. And so giving them this millstone that they drag around, where they're always going to be visible from clear across the fucking map, because it is clear across the map. You've probably noticed it when we played the larger maps, but if there was a sniper all the way over on that building, we would see a huge glint right there. So it really levels the playing field, because they're still a huge threat. They're still a tremendous threat, despite the handicap. And I think handicap is the right term for it, right? Like in golf, you know? It just, I think, a good chunk of this building isn't a building anymore. I still think that you're a lifesaver to someone who just saved your actual life is so fucking funny, like, to say it like that. Got a sneaky Dan over here, he says, coining a neologism. That's right, I went assault and I forgot again that they only give you 3 fucking magazines. Why is that the decision? 3 magazines, it's so few bullets. I'm fucking out. I'm on bingo ammo, what the hell, right? Yeah, see, there it is. I'm fucking useless now. And I think, honestly, I think part of the answer is that you're supposed to be laying down, the support team, I think it is, can, or the support class, I think it is, can lay down supply refills, which you can walk up to and get resupplied from. But if nobody does, and I think in this case nobody has, then I'm just running around with a fucking pistol. I never run out of ammo as an engineer with my SMG unless I'm doing really well. And yeah, the answer, generally speaking, is that the only way to get more ammo is to get it from a supply crate dropped by one of your buddies, and yeah, it's just if nobody drops one, you're just fucked. And so here I am. I'm the assault class, and I'm walking around with a fucking pistol. Oh, there is one other option though, which is you can pick up somebody else's kit off of any dead soldier. I think on either side, but maybe it's only yours. I don't know. So I don't know this fucking gun. I have no idea what I have now, but I do have 170 rounds for it. And that's the other thing, is you don't have to go full battle rifle. You can actually use the carbine instead. Oh, and then here we go. That's a support class, so I can just grab supplies off their back. Man. So there's a tank over there, and I'm not NG, so I can't do anything about it. And unfortunately, this is not one of the maps where we have unlimited lives, so it's not in my interest to die in order to refill. So the thing to do is just go with it until I die naturally. Natural causes, getting hit by tank shell. Oh, fuck!
Medic!
Okay, I haven't seen that happen before. Once in a while, you do see a corpse go flying halfway across the map.
I knew you had my back.
Did they occupy this again? I think they did.
Our forces have neutralized Bravo.
I saw bullets coming from this direction, didn't I? Shit!
Fuck, I'm bleeding out! Medic!
We have Bravo under attack.
You know, and I'll point out that we don't seem to be having any crashes anymore. So I think that the rsync operation really was the problem. Man, what a bummer. I wonder if that's what was going well. I was running rsync the other day. Seems hot. Something's going on over here. Ow. All right, we'll take that. Again, sometimes you just hose at them, and you hope that they'll assume you're gonna stop, right? Then you throw them the brain destroyer. I'm just gonna take this guy's kit because mine sucks. It's a particularly emphatic grenade. Shit! The BF3 profanity. Wait, was that one of the samples your fucking character would say? Would they say I'm getting my shit pushed in? Please tell me this was actually an official statement in the game.
Return to combat.
That's incredible. And yeah, like the soundscape in this game is pretty good. I happen to think that the sound design is quite excellent. TBH. Oh fuck, tank. I keep forgetting to change fucking classes, so once again I'm posted up with this dog shit assault rifle. Okay, well I got someone with a grenade. I'll take that. I blew something up. That's outside our AO. I can't go that way. Where is everybody? Did y'all go to the Rapture? What the fuck? The war's just over now, I guess. It is really weird when things go quiet in this game. It doesn't happen very often. Oh. Things are loud again. Oh, he's dead. Okay. Okay, this time... Oh, nope, he revved me. God damn it! Now I have to keep fighting. I didn't ask for this. Okay, there we go. Woo! Alright, have a good night, Luna. Thanks for watching. Alright, switch classes. Woo, finally. You know, actually, before we go out, let's just check real quick. Warfighter. Oh yeah, I've earned a whole bunch of fucking upgrades. Okay. Excellent. Yes. Longer barrel. Better grip. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do that. We get the 30 round fast. Penetration is not useful in this case. Don't remember what that does. Ergonomics, yes. Oh, we can't afford the mag catch. Okay. And then we got the 3.5 scope on there. Somebody asked earlier how good a scope, like if the sniper rifles, etc., let you put more of a scope on them. No, not as far as I can tell. You can put anything on anything, it seems like. You just have to earn it on a per weapon basis. So I've got like fucking 25 different scopes here. Fuck it, let's put a 4.5 on there, see what that's like. Alright. 4.5x scope on a SMG is such a funny idea. But again, like, it's their fault for making the SMG completely adequate for all... Damn, that's 2 fucking hits with them. Sure, why not? No, I don't care. I'm just gonna kill everybody with the fucking rockets. Okay, so I need to pay closer attention to how this works. But I think, you notice how I'm reloading now without taking my eye away from the scope? I think that that's a quality of the accessory I bought called a Magpole. I think that allows you to do this. Because before I installed that, I think it was requiring me to... God, this is so unfair. I think it was requiring me to pull my eye away from the scope in order to reload. So... Oh, God damn it! I saw what was happening. Also, that fucking guy's name was Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, man. Video games are still real. Thank fucking God. I do love that just the profanity filter is not optional, and so people don't bother saying slurs for the most part, because it's just not going to work, and they all know it. And so, generally speaking, you're not just constantly awash in disgusting bigotry. And that's like the only change versus 2005. Otherwise, the vibes are identical, good and bad, right? But that was the part that really sucked, was the constantly having to listen to racism. So they fixed it. You know what I mean? By the way, one of my favorite things about modern video games, the hit marker sonar, where you can't see shit, Captain, so you just fire and hope you get the hit marker. And that'll tell you where they are, and then you can dial it in from there. Good use for automatic weapons in these games, I tell you what. Oh, that's my guy, LOL. Of course, sometimes you get the hit marker for hitting like a piece of fucking furniture, so it's not perfect, all right? He saw my squad mate moving in on that dude. It's like, I'm gonna get this guy, and I just torched him with a fucking rocket. Oh, this is another video gameism. These fucking automatic rope ascenders are so silly. But hey, what else are you gonna do, right? There are ladders, and you will get killed if you try and use one. Oh no! I got blown up in the middle of my fucking takedown animation. Over sharpened? I don't think so. I don't think so. I haven't noticed that. But, you know, maybe. It hasn't been bothering me, I'll tell you that much. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Oh, I took the wrong rope. Oh, that's another little bit of video gameism, is if you jump off a rooftop that's high enough to kill you if you land, you can just hit spacebar again, you'll deploy your parachute. And I think, let's find out, I believe, yep, unlimited parachutes. It's funny because, like, at times this game feels like it's trying to be, you know, more Rainbow Six than fucking, you know, RTCW multiplayer. But then it just falls apart on shit like that. It's good. It's terrific. I bought a video game. I'm playing a video game. I'm not upset. But the fucking, ow. The ludonarrative dissonance is strange. I'll tell you that. Those ammo crates could be from the other team.
Fuck! Medic!
Yeah, that is true. You've got several layers of scaling going on here, so... Oh, ow, 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 ow. I did not successfully tag that ABC. I think it's an AFV, technically. Oh, yeah! Got his ass! Well. Tired. Frag out. Wired. Frag in because I threw it right in front of my stupid ass. Also, one of my favorite things in this game, the baseball slide. I love that all games have this stupid Apex Legends shit now. The baseball slide is the double jump of first-person shooters. It makes no sense. It is diegetically just gibberish. And yet, everyone wants it. It makes every game better. Ow.
I'm bleeding out!
Rexfire? Rexfire, you got me? No, you do not. Oh, yeah, RTCW is terrific. Yeah, I would almost say that RTCW is sort of the game. I feel like in a lot of ways, it defined it created. I feel like it created the multiplayer FPS like in a way that a lot of other games seem like they should have, but did not quite do. Like, as important as Quake 3 was, I really think that RTCW delivered a more finished and like, how to put it? There was culture to it in a way that did not exist in Quake 3. That's my opinion. Yeah, Titanfall introduced the baseball slide because that's where Apex Legends got it. But in my observation, Apex Legends was the one that popularized it in the modern state of competitive shooters, right? I think that Apex. I thought there was a guy in there. It feels like Apex did it, and then all of a sudden everybody else was doing it, right? So I think they kicked off the trend. Now, wasn't there a tank? I thought that there was a tank. You throw the grenade, you wait to see if you get a hit marker, and if you do, then you know the enemy's over there. Wow! Hello? Hell yeah! Killed that guy. It wasn't a crusher kill, unfortunately. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, men. Gentlemen, fellows. There's guys here. Dude voice. Dude here.
Need a medic!
Yeah, I mean, I think... Did Crysis have the slide? I think a lot of games had the slide, but I think that... I feel like Apex is the specific energy of the way that it works in Apex, I feel, is the progenitor of what we see in... Oh, okay. Boy, go up. Boy, go way up. Landed next to some tires. Oh, man. Woo. Long last, video games are real again. Did that tank exist again? I thought I keep... Ow, ow. Oh, yep, it does. There it is. I found it. Oh, I'm zorched. Okay, for a minute I thought somebody was going to get me back up. Oh, hey, they're capping on us. Cool.
Frag out!
Ah, it's the tank again. I keep encountering this man. So, this topic has come up a couple of times recently in conversations with friends, the question of whether Quake will ever see a remake. And my answer is no. And the reason my answer is no is because... in my opinion, having played Doom almost since it came out, having played Quake since it came out, and having read Masters of Doom several times, and thought about this a lot, and writing 10,000 posts, I think that the problem is that Doom is a game, while Quake is a game engine in an enormous number of ways. So, first off, I mean, it's known that John Carmack famously said that, story in a video game is like story in a porno, because he says you expect it to be there, but you don't expect it to be good, essentially. But what he really meant by that was that he just thinks that. I think what he meant by that is that he just thinks that everybody trying to make a video game where something happens is a tryhard. I think the guy is a permanent teenager mentally. Like, he was barely not one at the time, and I don't think he ever got better. And so, final. I think the guy is an enemy of pretty much all modern game design, and that this all happened not because of, but in spite of him. It is true that Doom was important at its time and popularized a lot of things, etc. The trouble is, the only thing that made Doom special was that it could run on a 46. Nothing else. It was not actually good as a game, or I should say, sorry, it was not actually an impressive game engine, nor was it the most game they could have made. Yeah, I probably did this whole spiel the last stream, but I'm going to do it again.
I need a fucking medic!
It is documented that people, including Tom Hall, wanted to make Doom a lot more of a game than it ended up being. Give it a lot more substance. And my opinion, which is shared with a lot of people from then and now, is that that would have been garbage. I think that Tom Hall was not a great game designer, at least not in the sense that he knew what could be done at the time and for the audience they had, etc. He was an ideas guy, and the difference between him and John Romero, in my opinion, other than the fact that Romero could program, is that possibly because Romero could program, he had a good understanding of what was achievable, not just what was possible. Tom Hall had these ideas about, like, oh, there's going to be all this, like, narrative shit in the game, like what would eventually appear in Strife. And you know what? It was really awkward in Strife and slowed down the game and all this other stuff that was fine for a game that came out in 1995 and was not a nearly as mainstream title and was not aiming for the same market. It was a very different intent. But what Tom Hall wanted to make was an action RPG, essentially. We were not ready for that as an industry, as a society, but your kids are gonna love it, right? It had been attempted, and famously, I think this is something that it's called out in many sources. Tim Rogers' review of Doom addresses this fact, as does, I think, the book Masters of Doom, that Ultima Underworld was out. The game existed. It was an action RPG in a full 3D engine, more 3D than Doom. It looked better in several senses, and it let you do many, if not most, if not all of the things that Tom Hall, etc. had in mind. The problem is that it was bad, and the reason it was bad was a whole mix of reasons. Some of them, the fact that we just hadn't figured out how to do any of this stuff yet, and the ideas needed more time in the oven. But part of it was the fact that we weren't using mouse and keyboard yet. Nobody had figured out how to do that. So, Ultima Underworld was trying to make Morrowind in like 1994, 93, and nobody knew how to make Morrowind yet. So it just wasn't going to happen. We didn't know how to do that. And so had id tried, I think they would have failed. However, there are so many stories about how pretty much as soon as they wrapped on Doom, John Carmack just got this absolutely enormous head, as if he didn't have one already, and started basically yelling at anyone who had imagination. Like the remainder of Masters of Doom, pretty much everything after Doom came out and much of the back half of Doom being developed, is him just telling every single person who ever had an idea, you're stupid, your ideas are dumb, stop having them, get out of my face or I'll fire you. Go do what I told you to. And what he was telling them to was churn out something that puts pixels on the screen and plays sounds. And his feeling was that, I think then and largely now, is that games are a stupid idea and only losers want them, and that polygon pushers are the things that he makes and that people should want. And the guy just never understood why anybody would want a game to have an experience. And so if he had been in charge of everything, the entire, we wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be a game industry if it was up to him. And that's why, as Quake went on, it went from being The first Quake was a shallow, empty husk of what it was supposed to be, because that game could have, yeah, Masters of Doom is a book, and you should absolutely read the book. It's very good. Yeah, if John Carmack was actually dedicated to explicit minimalism, then that would be dope. But he isn't. He never was. It's that, on the one hand, he was not willing to allow the company to make a game that took more than the most minimum effort to produce something you could call a game. And then the other half is that when he gave that missive down to his underlings, who were afraid to challenge him, because he would just summarily fire all of them, and proved this on several occasions, they were clever and capable, and their response to it was, well, if we're being put under these constraints, then let's do the best we can with them. And so they did exactly that, primarily John Romero, who set a framework for how the maps in the game could look that would make them interesting and challenging, despite being built around a very simple set of Taco Bell menu items. And the result is very good. It should exist, absolutely. I don't think the other thing that they wanted to make could have been made. The point, however, is that during the development of Doom, they were thinking about a much more sophisticated thing that was to become Quake, and then they didn't make that. Because John Carmack eventually said, no, that's stupid, let's just make a deathmatch machine. Oh, and I guess if it has to have a single-player campaign, I won't stop you, but don't let me know about it. And that's pretty much how that went. Is some people threw together the campaign, and he never gave a fuck about it, and it was really just about the multiplayer, which was pretty much what was happening towards the back half of Doom. I think if John Carmack had had a choice, Doom would have had no campaign whatsoever. It would have just been multiplayer. The problem is the internet wasn't really a thing enough yet for that to be the only thing that it was. Quake 3 is the ultimate expression of what John Carmack wanted in 1993. All he wanted was that. And he finally got it, right? But I think he had meddled enough with Quakes 1 and 2 that, like, Quake 2 is one of the most ungames I've ever seen. It is like, you can see the struggle between somebody came up with a story for it, and then they were told to go fuck themselves. And so what made it into the world is just the most minimal, most just passing mention of a story you can imagine. And, pardon me. And it just didn't need to be that way. I think that Quake 2 could have been a lot better, but Quake 1 really could have been vastly more than it was. Because, again, nobody gave a shit about the single-player campaign in Quake. It's an ungame. It's barely there. It's just a bunch of fucking sandboxes. It's not fun to play. And I'm not talking about this retrospectively. I'm saying at the time, when I got the game, I didn't even play through the whole shareware. I've never finished the first episode of Quake that I know of. I have tried. And then a few missions in, I just find myself, like, quitting. Like, there's no reason. And the same is true for Quake 2. It is astonishingly hard to get yourself to commit to Quake 2. There's just so little there. You're not going to get a payoff for it. And the levels are so generic and so, yeah. So I think that's Carmack's fault. I think that he ruined those games, and I think the guy's an enemy of fun. And so my take is, though, that the reason Quake would never get a remake, a la Doom 2016, is because Doom was a better game struggling to be made. Like, Doom 2016 is the game that even John Carmack would have greenlit in 1993 if they had been capable of doing it. Doom 2016 is the vision that all of those awful fucking, metal fan hairdo jackoffs at id, all these awful men who none of us would want to meet, that is what they saw in their heads. That's what they imagined, right? That was the game they wanted to make. And they couldn't have made it back then. It was impossible in 1993. So finally, when the time came that it could be done, it finally happened. And there's enough meat on the bones of the original Doom that I think a lot of different teams could have sat down with that same game and and ended up with Doom 2016. I think a lot of people could have independently come to the same conclusions that that is what they were trying to do. There are certain things there that are a little, that are going to be remembered as dated, right? As being trends of their time, like the bright yellow grab bars everywhere, the parkour. At the same time, however, I do think that if you showed that gameplay to the id staff in 1993, they would have shit themselves. They would have high-fived. They would have told you that was the coolest fucking thing they'd ever seen. I don't think anybody there would have been disappointed by it. And the incredible, like, what I think is fascinating is that Doom 2016 tells the story of Doom vastly better than, either Doom or Doom 3 did. Because Doom 3 is so fucking bad. What an awful game. Without the player ever saying anything or really doing anything. In Doom 2016, the story is relayed to you entirely over radio messages while you play an unrelated game. It's very Borderlands in that way. There's people having a conversation in another room. You are privy to it while you play an arcade game, right? Except that every now and then, like every 20 or 30 radio messages, there's one that intersects with an action that you need to take that your player just does automatically and without saying a word expresses everything you need to know about the universe and the Doom guy and all the lore. It's all there. In the very beginning when he fucking punches the fucking screen that the dude is talking to him on, that tells you more than the entire fucking Doom Bible that Tom Hall supposedly wrote ever could have. That's hundreds of pages of story in one fucking action. It is one of the most brilliant acts of storytelling I've ever seen, which is why I hate Doom Eternal as much as I do. That is to say, no, I shouldn't go there. I detest Doom Eternal. I think that is one of the worst games in the history of games. Not video. Games. All games, like Sumerian ball and hoop games, are better than Doom Eternal. The biggest letdown and one of the worst, most unenjoyable, flat-ass, dog shit games I have ever seen in my life. Hands down, I want it erased from history and the tongues of their sages cut out. Horrible. And how they got to there from Doom 2016, I cannot comprehend. Right? I don't get it. But Doom 2016 is perfect. No notes. Nothing needs to be changed about it. It is exactly what it should be. And that's what Doom was. You can't improve Doom 1993. It can't be done. Anything you add to it is making a different game. It is the perfect, most platonic ideal of the thing that they set out to do. And that's what I think is so important about it. That because of the oft remarked upon relationship of the two Johns, I think that John Carmack set a limit for what Doom could be, and then John Romero rose to that challenge and made it exactly as much as it could be. Not up to that limit, but targeting it, right? If Carmack had set the sights just a little bit higher, then he would have done that a little bit better, but it would have been a totally different game at that point. So instead, Doom 1993 is everything that those constraints could possibly deliver, manufactured with as much love and skill and talent as it possibly could be. It is a perfect jewel of a game, and Doom 2016 is the same thing. I wouldn't change a thing. Everything about it's perfect. It is exactly, if it's not what you want, that's fine, but it is an ideal of something. It is exactly what it should be. And I don't think you can do that with Quake because Quake did not start out being perfect. That's the problem. Had Quake been anything other than a basis for other things, we would have something to draw on. One thing I think is really interesting is Quake 4, which I need to replay. It's been a really long time since I played that game, and I'm sure that some of my opinions about it will change. But what I remember is the game came out and not a single soul spoke a word about it. I was the only person, I think, who was aware that game exists. I've never heard anybody else talk about it. It doesn't get mentioned in anywhere. Did you know there was a Quake 4? Were you aware of this? Right? And I remember, now this was a long time ago. What was the release date on that game? Had to have been like 2007. Maybe earlier. 2005. Yeah. And importantly, developed by Raven, not id. I remember the campaign for that game being excellent. Yeah, because, Quake 2 meets Doom 3 minus John Carmack. So the Doom 3 engine was used for, 4 games total? It wasn't many. It was like maybe 5. And every game that I remember existing on it looked terrible. Just looked awful. The lighting engine is crap, and the lighting engine is crap. That's pretty much it. And I don't like the shading. No, that's part of the lighting engine. Yeah, the lighting engine is crap. I don't like that game. It looks mushy and gross. And so the games I can think of that are based on it were Doom 3 and Prey. My old friend, Prey 2006. I wish they had done better by you. And then Quake 4, and I can't think of anything else. And I remember playing Quake 4 all the way to the end in one go. Maybe not one sitting, but like I didn't like pick it up and play a little bit and go, that's okay. No, I played it all the way to the end, whenever I had free time and finished it and thought, damn, that was great. And what I thought was great about it was that they took everything Quake 2 was trying to do, but had been utterly hamstrung by management on, and turned it into a it's basically, that is a remake of Quake 2, for all intents and purposes. Technically, I think it takes place after Quake 2 in theory, but it hits all the notes. It tells the story. It actually feels like a story. It feels like a real, actual, cinematic video game story by the standards of 2005. Yeah, there's that one scene in Quake 4 that everybody remembers. That scene hit like a truck, and everything that happened after that hit like a truck. I thought that the fucking with the player's perception was pretty neat. But more than anything, I just thought that they just brought it in. It was just a very solid, very straightforward, point A to point B. Like, we had learned so much in 10 years. Not even, 9 years. God, that's weird to think about between the first game and the second. No, I'm sorry, Quake 2 was 97, right? Yeah, so it was like 8 years between that and basically the remake. And I think, again, if you went back and found somebody must have loved Quake 2. Whoever that person was, I'll bet they loved Quake 4 and were pleased that the idea they'd had. Because I don't know who wrote the story for Quake 2, but whoever it was must have been so disappointed when it actually got produced, where you can barely even find the story in the game. It's so unengaging. But they'd written an okay one. It's an all-right basic sci-fi premise, certainly by the standards of the time. And Quake 4 actually does something with it. It actually brings it out and makes it engaging, and there's characters that talk to each other and have dialogue, and something happens to your character that's shocking and redefines how the whole war goes, and you end up being very important to it. And these are things that are happening in Quake 2, but you can't tell. You can read the text in the little mission updates, but it's so fucking vague and so disconnected that it doesn't really land that you're doing anything. All you're doing is pressing buttons and opening fucking sewage gates, right? So I think we were able to remake Quake 4 because Quake 2 did have an ideal that was not achieved. Now, the result was not as good because, unlike Doom, which was perfect in the first place, Quake 2 was not perfect in the first place and was not coming from a place of let's do the best we possibly can within these constraints. Quake 2 is, shit, I guess we need a story. You're not busy. Go do it. Come back. Don't tell me what you did. Just write it and give it to somebody. It's what it feels like. And the end result is like there's a decent enough story there, but the game was never perfect. It was never a perfect example of anything, which is a big difference. But it was possible to dig something out of it. Quake 1, there's nothing there. There's no meat on the bone. There's nothing you can enhance, right? If you culture Quake 1, it just grows out carbon. There's no DNA to resurrect, right? It was a skeleton to begin with. So Doom 3 is just a Half-Life ripoff with dynamic shadows. That is a harsh toke, but okay. But yeah, so I don't think we'll ever. I don't think we'll ever have a Quake remake because I don't know what Quake is. I'm not sure it's real. But I will say, it would be interesting. It would be interesting to see somebody go back and get what we know of the intended plot and gameplay of Quake 1, file the serial numbers off, and then make a, make what they think would have happened. Maybe with some inside baseball from some of the people who worked on it off the record. I think that would be cool. I mean, honestly, at this point, like, John Romero and Tom Hall could probably get together and make Quake as intended with the serial numbers filed off explicitly, and I don't think anyone's going to come after them. I think that ship has probably sailed in a number of different ways. They could probably do it. Anyway, all right. I should go. I think I should go. It's fucking late. Today sucked. Today sucked in several ways, but the stream made it a lot better. I was not sure if I was going to have the energy and vibe to do this, or if it was going to be depressing or anything. But apparently, people had a good time. So, thank you all for coming and making my day better. Hope you had a good time. I did play Quake 2 when it was new. I actually do remember. I remember when it came out because my dad and my brother wanted to use it to benchmark a new graphics card, and I was just sitting there like, "But the whole new game, but just click new game, but press new game though. Stop changing settings. Press new game." I was so mad that they wouldn't start the game. Are the redeems broken? Wait, they shouldn't be. Oh, because it's not. Yeah. I'll work on the redeems. I was gonna do it today, but I didn't have time. I was too depressed. All right. Everybody have a good night. Thanks for coming.